que sabía lo que iba a pasar. Solamente fuiste y me dejaste solito en la eternidad. Señora, ay señorita, yo sé que ahora estás lejos de mí y siempre estoy pensando lo que estás haciendo y si te sientes más feliz. Y si te sientes más feliz, oye. Y espero yo que no te sientas sola y que tu vida está llena de felicidad, porque deseo que nadie tenga que sentirse ahora mismo como yo, atrapado en la oscuridad, solito en la eternidad, solito en la eternidad, oye. Trompeta.
Scheduling conflict.
Saxofón con sola y que tu vida está llena de felicidad, porque deseo que nadie tenga que sentirse ahora mismo como yo, atrapado en la oscuridad y solito en la eternidad. Ay señora, vuélvete acá, vuélvete. Ay señora, ya se fue.
Word War Debate coming January 10th.
Lol. We had we lost a hutch for scheduling, so no live and learn. We're postponing that. Yo, Pound Cake, what up? I'm coming. Chill. Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro. What the fuck?
Is the government
Shapiro.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has been attacking
Guys, chill on the live and learn obituaries. Y'all are so dramatic. Oh, someone likes stream more than live and learn. Yo! Liberal surrender hands in the chat. Sure you're surrendering today. People are already doing this. True. What up, folks? How's everybody doing? 2 streams in one day? Can it be? Yes, it can. It can be. It is. So deal with it. Life is a series of escalating disappointments, but there are some things that occasionally grant you relief from the drudgery that is your life. I don't know why I said that. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. It's Monday, my dudes. Here we have the scuffed liberal surrender hands emote until we get I think we actually need 15 or so more memberships on YouTube. You slackers. Seriously, no pressure. Super support. All you guys supporting me. It do be drudgin', says Ogre Boy 6. The controversial communist Marxist known as Ogre Boy 6. Dude has different glasses. You guys always checking the consistency of glasses. You're checking for everything. I can't pull a fast one on you guys. You guys see everything. You see it all. I actually low-key love this scuffed liberal surrender hands emote. Do you have a wall of glasses? I do. You know me? Stark. I do. You're not the only one cursed with knowledge. Ogre Boy says, I'm a God-fearing liberal. I don't know what you mean. You see it all with all those glasses. It's the Holy of Holies. When is Pisco going to bulge like Hutch? I have very thick hair. And it grows fast. My beard grows fast too. But we'll see. We'll see. Motherfuckers. Motherfuckers never loved us. There are images out there of me in a mohawk. They exist. These things exist. If I go bald, I can comb over my eyebrows. Okay. Some housekeeping, some rules. Okay. You know I'm strict on those rules. Always am strict on those rules. So no live and learn today because we have like a little scheduling snafu. And Hutch's, we lost a Hutch for today. He's fine, don't worry. He's good. But just we were going to have to reschedule. Go bald in solidarity with Hutch. Why? I'm already so much in solidarity with Hutch. I put it all on the line for my boy. Ogre Boy needs to like stop harassing my boy too. Everything on my feed is like politics, it's like memes, and then it's 20% Ogre Boy just like going at Hutch, calling him like a piece of shit loser. And I'm sick of it, frankly. I am sick of it. No, Hutch is good. I've been blocked everywhere. It's Ogre. I'll be honest, Pisco says Big Leafy Tree. Uh-oh. I never like it when people start that way. I'll be honest. Do you want me to tell you the truth? These are words. These are signals that I'm about to hear some unfriendly news. You know? It's like, we need to talk. If Hutch was your boy, you'd go bald. You're going, excellent. Oh, wow. Damn. It's not what I expected. But yeah, that's no live and learn. We're going to try to reschedule it. Hopefully it'll be available. Hutch come out as America First yet? You know, he really shocked us all by putting on that America First hat. It's like Superman's hat. How does he know you look better with it? Have we ever seen you beardless? I think there's a recent video I put up, the Rob one, where I'm like more clean shaven. It exists out there. That people did not like it when I shaved recently, like 4 or so months ago. Hutch just came out as Zionist. Ogre Boy says, listen, Pisco, we all want the Democrats to win. Not you. You didn't vote for the Democrats. Although you have your story that you tell. We just have passionate disagreements about strategy. And I passionately disagree with your boy. Okay, there's a fine line between disagreement and harassment. Disagreement and harassment. Kamala won my state. We're back to this cope. How many times? By the way, Ogre Boy is like an ambiguous number of years old. I can't tell if he's like 26 or 80. He's eternal. I'm over 9,000. Ogres don't age like the rest of us. Didn't you just have a mustache and naked face recently? I try to change it up on you guys. Change the hairstyle. Change everything. Change my political views. Become a Marxist. Oh, I've been totally forgetting this entire time to be condemning Marxism before every stream. I was supposed to do that. You guys remember that arc? That was fun. Next week, you're a Republican. I'm pretty static. You know what I love? These Hunter Avalon types who just waltz into Democratic politics like it means anything to that guy. I've been a Daily Show viewer since day one. Yeah, I read a Michael Moore book, and now I kind of cringe at that because he's a little cringe. You like Hunter, to be honest? Listen, I'm not trying to start any shit. Have you disavowed Hassan? I believe I did earlier with Connor. I condemn all of these people. What is the best borough of New York City? Okay, it's Manhattan, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. My opinion. I did forget to denounce the USSR. I did forget. Yonkers. Hunter will hit puberty and get interested in girls and move on to other pursuits. Kind of an odd comment here by the Ogre Man. Favorite Daily Show host? I mean, it is Jon Stewart, but he kind of pisses me off sometimes with his little like. There's just like a kind of, it's not a Dave Portnoy-esque like above it all, because he's not at all in that. I think Dave Portnoy is like mean-spirited, very selfish in a way that I think Stewart is not. But there's this kind of like it's not ideological in that sense. It's more like an attitude of like being above it all, and it's just like appeal to common sense. Like we're all just it just rubs me the wrong way. I gotta tell you the truth, folks. This kind of like, why can't everyone just go and like grab a beer and be normal type shtick? He doesn't always do it, and you know, it just, when he does, it kind of, the Stephen A. Smith kind of both sides, and this is ridiculous. Nah. You got to be hitting MAGA all the time, just hard. And whenever you're hitting the left, it's because they're not going hard enough on MAGA. That's the game. That's where I'm an asset, I think. Because you don't have to wonder about my priorities and where I stand. Is it fair to say you're more of a process over policy guy? You probably have preferred outcomes, but for you, it's about process. Nah. Process is important to me. Because people underestimate, I think, the value of procedure. Like, what good are rights without procedure? Right? People will say, oh, it's just proceduralism, you know? But like, rights are kind of meaningless without procedure. Procedure is how you vindicate your rights. Like, what is the point of having freedom of speech if you don't have a way to present your claim? What is the point to a right to a jury trial if you don't have a fair and adequate process by which to present evidence before a neutral arbiter? So I think there is a way in which procedure is the substance of America. And that's what I was trying to stress in the discussion with Ryan Mullally and Gen Z Attorney. It's like, you guys frame it as, oh, it's just a legalistic. You just think whatever's legal is moral. Like, obviously not. That's a caricature and a straw man that I'm not trying to defend. I think that law is downstream of morality, for sure. But people underestimate the extent to which procedure is itself a substantive choice related to republicanism and values. Part of the reason we have these kinds of like intricate and sometimes archaic structures, some of which should be replaced for sure. I'm not this like everything that was must be. I think it was a good change to make the Senate a proportional. Yeah, I know Live and Learn today. We lost a hutch for today. We're scheduling, I think, to later this week, maybe Thursday, and hopefully I'll be able to join that. Hopefully, but we'll see. And I obviously support getting rid of the Electoral College, but procedure is valuable to me. That said, I have policy goals, but my policy goals these days, thank you so much for the sub on Twitch. This is huge. This is insanely cool. That's not very abundance pilled. Sorry, it's Constitution pilled. Now, I'm in favor of some of like simplifying and expediting some things, right? For sure. Oh. Thank you so much for the super duper chat. Yeah, we'll see what's good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I know Ogre Boy is funny. I think the Ogre Boy's I think he's amusing. He's amusing to me. So shout out Ogre Boy. What was I gonna fucking say? I was about to say something to you guys. Yeah, so like I agree with some of the abundance stuff, like you gotta build more and make it easier to build more. But the process by which we get rid of those guardrails to the extent that we need to, and I would do it in a much more calibrated way than I think some people have understood the abundance agenda to be. Like you hear Connor talk about it earlier today, where it's just like deregulate. I'm like, I don't think that that's the way I would implement this kind of vision. I think that the overall attitude here is to build stuff, is to create stuff and make things happen fast. But I don't think that that's coextensive with like gutting all of our fucking regulations. I think that there's particular ones, zoning, big one, right? I'm less concerned that the environmental stuff will be an issue, because to the extent that that is like burdensome, the Democrats have already shown their willingness to buck those kinds of requirements and unify them in a certain way. Like Biden was doing that in the end after he was consulted, and a lot of the roadblocks were put in by Republicans, and Ezra totally whiffed on that by blaming the Democrats when it came to either the BEAD funding, I forget exactly. I tweeted at him, but that was a big miss, and it was annoying to hear him blame Biden and the Democrats for shit that the Republicans put in the fucking bill. Anti-filibuster. But so the procedures I'm talking about, like, I'm not just in favor of procedure for its own sake. I'm in favor of procedure that I think I value and matters and that are necessary to the bedrock of our country. Shit, I feel like I'm always like just doing the stump speech to you guys. Don't you get bored after a while of me just being like, Constitution, this, Democrats, MAGA? We didn't dig deep enough into his self-professed Islamophobia. Probably better left uncovered, right? Or covered. I was going somewhere. I was about to say something. I was supposed to be someone. You get sleazy vibes from Ezra. I like Ezra, but it's kind of a love-hate. Sometimes he pisses me off. He'll say some shit that just... But sometimes he says it just right, and I'm like, It hits my, like, West Wing. The same thing that, like, the West Wing hits. The same thing that, like, a good Obama speech will hit. I could have been someone. I could have been a contender. You don't understand. Not my night. Don't act like I don't know stuff. I got layers. There's layers to the shit, player. Tiramisu. Tiramisu. Fuck. What's that song? Is that like Macklemore? Oh God. Now I look like a dweeb. One sec. We have a key update on our good friend
Word War debate coming January 10th. Huge venues, and we're going to be running them every couple of months, all year. It's going to be the gold standard for debate.
Now we're going to bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence.
We're going to take pro sports with pro debates and create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best of the best going at it, the smartest, the fastest, the most.
This audio is so overpowering. The fucking music, like Inception shit going on in the background.
Huge venues, and we're going to...
This is where the players come to bang. That's what they said in their other video that we watched. This is where we come to bang. We're going to set up bangers. We're going to bang in the VIP lounge. Word War debate. Not World War debate. Word War debate.
To be running them every couple of months, all year.
Now we're going to bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence.
Like some Andor shit.
We're going to take pro sports with.
Look at them walking in like a couple of fucking amazing chads. You like sniz? You greased it, man. You fucking greased it. Look at those sleeves. Sam Tripoli with the fucking amazing crooked tie. Let's see this walkout again.
That standard of having all that moderation excellence.
We're going to take pro sports with pro debates and create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best
hybrid. Hey, Joker. You think the bat... I can't stop. This guy's a goon from Arkham.
and create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best of the best going at it, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless, the people that you've seen going at it on the internet. They're going to finally show up, put up or shut up, okay? That's this show.
Word War Debate, the premier debate league, ensuring that every voice is heard.
Oh, fucking amazing. This shit, I gotta meme this. This is a great shot. I really love how you can't see anything because of the fucking lighting. The light of Yahweh beaming down, really putting this all together. What is that? Is that a pager or a gun? You guys see this little bulge here?
But every fact is challenged.
January
Oh, fuck.
Atlantic
Debate cards.
City at ACX1
I want to go to
Studios.
this.
Grab your tickets now. This will sell out.
Wait. Should I fucking buy a ticket, bro? We're going to Atlantic City to World War Debate. Thing is, I want to get invited. But I'm not big enough because this is the premier debate. The grinder data. All right, let's just do we need to watch it? Yeah, let's watch it one more time.
February 10th, huge venues,
See what else you notice.
and we're going to be running them every couple of months, all year. It's going to be the gold standard for debate.
Now we're going to bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence.
We're going to take
Now we're gonna bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence. Who writes this shit? Now we're gonna bring that standard of what did he fucking say? It's like word salad.
Here is going to be the gold standard for debate.
Now we're going to bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence.
Can you fucking write your scripts a little better, dude? We don't need two little logos here. We already have the one, and it's shit. Just like the name. I do want to be on the show, though.
We're going to take pro sports with pro debates.
We're gonna take sports with debates, Batman. Yeah. Nighty-night, bats.
And create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best of the best going at it, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless, the people that you've
I feel like I'm having heart palpitations. Everything's fucking moving.
seen going at it on the
These fucking wedding chairs.
internet. They're going to finally show up, put up or shut up, okay? That's this show.
Word War Debate,
Word War
the
Debate.
premier
The
debate league,
premier.
ensuring that every voice
Hell yeah. Fucking, this is how big the couch is gonna be for us to bang.
is heard, but every fact is challenged.
January 10th, Atlantic City at ACX1 Studios. Grab your tickets now. This will sell out.
It will sell out because everyone who's watching right now is gonna buy a fucking VIP ticket so we can do a meet and greet. You know, they've invented meet and greets. They've never done this before. You've never been able to go and meet the people with their world views and get an autograph or anything like that. It's never been done before. That's what they said in the first trailer. How many more trailers do you think they're going to produce? Because these are great. I unironically want to do this. And if I'm not invited, unfortunately, I might want to just go. If you guys are down. And then we can go to the casinos. Maybe stick up a bank with Sam Tripoli. And Harley Quinn. Lincoln Douglas ain't got shit on us. Go meet your worldview, says Valerie. You're gonna like the way we bang. Crash the stage. I'm gonna let you finish, Tripoli. Okay. Fuck, I was gonna do something. Comey. Should we go to Comey? Oh, I really wish I... Wait, should we look at Rob talking it up a little bit? Hang on, one second. One second. See if I can find it.
Show to break. And then lastly, we'll see though. Stimmies, all of you are going to send me like 10%, right? All of you send me $100 from your stimmy. That's fair, right? Come on, Trump, send those stimmies. Fake news. The crucible will break through the firmament to the moon. We're breaking through the ice wall. We can't afford Mars.
Let's just see a little bit of his commentary on World War debate.
No. We're only the crucible.
We'll talk about Comey in a second. All right, Comey's next.
We're not the Daily Wire. Daily Wire will make it to Mars.
And Rob's helping them do stuff, which I appreciate. I'm proud of Rob and Andrew. I think it's like Abbott and Costello, Jake and Amir, Harold and Kumar, dynamic duos, Lewis and Clark, Batman and Robin.
No, I suppose. Why not break the news? All right. Of course, if you follow me on X, you would have seen it. But
and they had Rob break the news.
Actually posted it first that I saw.
Oh, never mind. Rachel.
It was not her that first posted this. So I'm going to play a little clip. What was Rob doing when he was gone there last month? Where was Rob? Rob said he was busy and he was doing projects that couldn't be talked about. By the way, this is just one of those projects, but it's a big one. So where was Rob? And why was he hanging out with Andrew?
Coming up with the gold standard for the format was critical.
There's debates all over the place.
Oh shit, it's a new one. They have like the fucking choir of hell. This is an actual, we haven't seen this one. With 3 likes.
Coming up with the gold standard for the format was critical.
There's debates all over the place, but there's no brand of excellence.
And to that effect, that's exactly what we're putting together in this video. My entire team worked on it.
Shocking. Like, what the fuck is the vibe? Is it like horror? 80s synth gay porno? Or like Inception heist music?
Along with Tripoli's entire team, and we came up with just a banger of a venue.
What you're going to get are the best of the best, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless. This is where the best go to bang.
It is time for a new stage.
This is where the best go to bang. How the fuck did that clear the editing room? It's amazing. That should be the tagline. Word war debate, where the best go to bang.
For truth, every argument is tested under the lights in real time. Live from ACX1 Studios in Atlantic City, the Enlightened Network is proud to present the new gold standard of debates. Word War Debate, the premier debate league.
See, I'm such a fucking idiot that I thought this was a World War debate ever since I watched this like 5 days ago. I thought it was World War debate. I'm like, that's the dumbest name ever. And then I found out what it was really called. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, this is a bigger deal than you may realize. This is a really fucking big deal. Like a really big deal. It is basically going to be the UFC of debate. And there are some big fucking people backing this. And there will be big fucking debates that are going to be amongst the most viral debates that you see online. Are the people shown actually involved? Yes, this is a collaboration project between Sam Tripoli and Andrew Wilson. So Andrew will be sort of the face of this, and Sam is using his connections in production and with the names he's associated with.
Joe Rogan?
It's basically the best production team that we could find on the fucking East Coast.
I mean, I could tell those videos were very well produced.
It is going to be
By
fucking...
the way, I'm being snarky. Rob, legit, let's squash the beef. Get me in the room. Let's talk contracts. I know that I'm an up-and-comer. And I'm not fucking memeing. I do want to do this.
Incredible. The venue is attached to Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City. It's called the ACX Studio. It is insane. It is like a fucking arena. It's 3 floors. Each floor, there's going to be there's kitchens there. So you're going to bring in from Atlantic City restaurants that'll be catering it. It's going to be like
food at the show.
Like the event's supposed to be anywhere from 6 to 8 hours per ticket. So when you're there, it's going to be an all-day event. There will be at least 3 bars. There will be a VIP room. The VIP room is fucking insane. It hangs out over the boardwalk on Atlantic City, overlooking the ocean. It is a fucking insane venue. I cannot believe that we got this venue. It is crazy.
Yeah, I need to go on Ultimate Debater and work my way up. Hey, man, tonight's not your night. The GM wants to go with someone else. But keep grinding, keep going to the lab, and then you'll be ready to bang.
We're trying to have sort of the pomp and circumstances that you would get in an MMA environment. So it's going to be like a party. It is going to be streamed online, but we will be selling tickets. We will be booking people, and the people will be treated exactly as you would expect a star to be treated.
That would be amazing if they have tomfoolery for the main event. Like tomfoolery versus Ron DeSantis, because the only lib they can get is tomfoolery. Just kidding. They'd get some big names. If they got, If you get a headliner, you'll get people.
They're going to have premier accommodations, premier flights to get to the venue.
Premier flights. They're flying people out. Premier flights, like partnerships with airlines, or they're just going to buy your ticket if you're like a VIP.
Going to be done right, and it is going to be fucking awesome.
It's a rematch.
The work that went into this, like it was a lot of people on Sam's team, and then a lot of people on the Crucible. But most of the people you see from the Crucible have been putting a lot of fucking work into this, myself included. So
good on him.
It's gonna be a really fun experience. So I will be.
It's a rematch of Tom and Rob for the headliner, and Tom concedes in the first 45 seconds. I'm sorry, Tom. You just can't concede in the first 25 seconds, Tom. Sorry.
Involved in a capacity as a host. Andrew will be the moderator. There will also be opportunities for people like Andrew and I eventually to debate. That is on the back burner. We are talking debates. Names you're looking to see would be amongst the biggest names that you see that do sort of debate stuff. And even
like Gavin Newsom.
And some that you don't see routinely doing debate stuff. We're going to try our best to entice people to come. Now, it's going to be much bigger people than like me.
Right. So I would say Rob and I are on similar levels. What would you say? Rob and I are like similar power levels. So if it's bigger names than him, then I'm not going to be invited. Maybe the prelims, though. That could be cool.
My chair will be there. But I'm not prepared to talk about the people that we have lined up yet. I don't think that's for me to break. But I assure you, it is. You're going to be like, hot damn.
Hot damn. That's a good bang.
But part of the idea is that it's going to. So the name that they went with is Word War Debate.
Skeptical. Us too, Rob. The name they went with, I didn't have anything to do with this fucking name. The name they went with is Word War Debate. But I think he's going to be a good salesman. I forget. I watched only a little of this, but let's see.
But part of the idea is that it's going to. So the name that they went with is Word War Debate. And the idea is that it's going to be like the gold standard. And the idea was that it's going to be the gold standard for two groups of people. Number one, the audience. Both the online and in-person audience, that we want it to be like, why do you go to a debate? Why are you going? You can watch it online. So why will you go? You're going to go because it's a fucking party. You're going to go because it's raucous, because you're having a blast. Why are we going to DebateCon? Sure, you want to see debates, but you also want to hang out with people.
This is going to be like the model UN dances that you would go to. Which, like, always... You know what I'm talking about? Like the debate club dances that they would do for all the nerds. The difference is, like, the sports demographic is different than the debate demographic.
Right? So that's the idea. And we also want to make it the premiere for the participants. We want this to be something that they can't refuse, that the offer to get them there is so enticing that they're like, yeah, I'll do that. That's the plan.
I'm excited. I want to do it.
You see, let's just take someone, like, let's take little old me. Let's say I make $357 a night streaming. Let's just say on an average day, maybe between the day show and the evening show, maybe I make $500 on YouTube. Okay?
He makes a good amount of money.
If you wanted me to come out and do an in-person debate, what would it take to get me there? Just an offer? Okay, then I gotta get a plane ticket, get a hotel, or get a rental car and get a hotel. Pay for my own meals. And that's the day that I lose $500.
You're not invited, Pisco. You're not the best. You can't bang.
Not streaming. Now let's say you wanted to bring Ben Shapiro in. You think he's going to do that? Or any other person who's really big time?
Shapiro Fuentes would be...
You need to be making serious offers for serious people. And it's not just a matter of, hey, we're going to, treat you right with accommodations. And they need to understand that, it could be blood sporty at times. We're going to have different types of debate. It's not just going to be one debate per event. It's going to be 3 debates per event.
Wait, only 3?
And they'll probably be, we're going to intentionally mix the style of debates that you're seeing. So maybe you have a religious debate, maybe you have a cultural debate, maybe you have a...
Oh, God, please don't do fucking religious debates. This is gonna be like debate flat Earth shit.
Personal beef debate. Maybe have a political debate.
Personal beef debate. Just keep it to politics.
With like serious politicians.
Personal beef with politicians? Wait, what?
And they'll probably be, we're going to intentionally mix the style of debates that you're seeing. So maybe you have a religious debate, maybe you have a cultural debate, maybe you have a personal beef debate, maybe you have a political debate with like serious politicians.
My bad.
It will be called right down the middle. And that's going to be Andrew's job. He is moderating.
It's gonna be called?
This will not be like other debate shows that you've seen me on where people get to spurg out and scream over you. That's not going to be what's happening. Even if it's a personal debate with people that personally dislike each other.
Yeah, try to wrangle Trump. Yeah, Trump's gonna go to word war debate. It's the best debate of all time.
It is going to be modeled after events like the UFC. And all I can say is tune in and see what we came up with. I think it's going to be pretty fucking cool.
Debate modeled off the UFC.
But the production value through this is going to be through the roof. Big names, big event, big production.
Time live from Atlantic City, the banging headquarters. Your ref for the evening, Andrew Will. Herb Dean. Herb Dean subs in for Andrew Wilson to debate religion.
Production value, it's going to be fucking awesome. The first event's going to be January 10th. Now it's a bit of a little bit.
Pisco versus Lisandro
A little bit of a double-edged sword for me because
Lisandro Peña.
January 10th is the day after my son's birthday, and I will have to be out there.
I will have to miss my child's birthday for this. No, I mean, I understand. You guys, isn't he like a young kid? Just buy him a big toy and be like, I'll have another toy when I get back from my business trip. I gotta go to work.
The week of the event. So, unfortunately.
The walkouts. What if they have their like ring music? Wait, this is pretty fucking sick. Everyone can have their own fucking elite ring music. Oh my god. You need to do some copyright stuff. Gotta be slick with that. Maybe we should get Sony on the line, some other, rights holders. There's big people involved. The Yellow King. The Yellow King.
I'll miss my son's birthday, which is a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. So tickets are already up.
What would your song be? Macho Man. Some other gay anthem to fit the vibe.
So I'll give you the link on the X account that you can follow for Word War. And they're going to have more details. So you can go, you can get your tickets already.
It's got me pulled in a new direction. Yeah, I'll do, only show tunes. The Adams musical will do. 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. We'll do only that kind of stuff. That's the vibe.
There's going to be different tier levels of tickets. I don't have all the details, but I know like the top VIP tickets, you should see this fucking lounge that you're going to get to watch the debate in. It is out of control. You're going to have your own fucking personal bar.
I know you're fucking full of shit, Common Good. The music is actually an area Andrew seems to have some sensibility for. You mean like the world is ending fucking music? Thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate you. You become soft, zero debate. I just posted debates. No invite to word war debate. Law boring. Korean haircut. Never subbed, never donated. Ad block on. Stolen laptop. Neighbor's Wi-Fi. What are the rest of them? Stolen hydroelectric plant. Stolen hamster wheel. Stolen hamster. I forget. It's fucking good though. It's a good meme. Wait, I was about to say something. Do you guys know this guy? Remember that guy who did the aspirational get ready in the morning stuff? Where he's like, fuck, what's his name? He like runs everywhere. He raced iShowSpeed. He what's this guy? Ashton something? Ashton. Why am I saying Ashton Forbes? No, Ashton Forbes is the fucking MH370 guy. Ashton Forbes. He's the guy who thinks that there's teleportation magic. Ashton Hall. I can't believe I got Ashton. Like whenever he fucking does anything, he has this is what it reminds me of. Hang on. The music they have for Word War Debate. Wait, it's for all of his shit. It's this fucking blaring fucking. That's what it reminds me of. Wait, where are we? Thank you so much for the or whatever this is. Thank you for the bits. You should use the Latino World Order entrance. Latino heat. Latino heat. Rest in peace, Eddie. If you know, you know.
Up there for just the people in the VIP room. It is fucking swank. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's immaculate.
You get your own bar.
You're gonna be sitting in a fucking first class bar overlooking the ocean with a view down to the fucking stage. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I couldn't believe it. Here's more of the video if you'd like to see. So this is more of Sam and Andrew. So if you don't know, Sam is a comedian. He's got a podcast, does a lot of like debate, like conspiracy stuff. He's friends with like Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. Big people behind this.
The Enlightened Network is proud to present Word War Debate, the premier debate.
Of course, that's Ben Swan. You may know.
I don't know.
Who's a tremendous dude himself. Was a journalist for mainstream media networks.
Ben
basically
Swan?
Fucking made his way out for saying shit that the media wasn't really big fans of. Sam Tripoli, Tripoli.
I'm Ben Swan, and I'm here to introduce the new gold
Oh, he worked for
standard of debate.
RT.
Every statement, every argument, every counterpoint is tested under the lights in real time. Let's send it over now to Andrew Wilson and Sam Tripoli inside the ACX1 studios in Atlantic City.
Pizzagate guy.
What we decided to do was get a great team of people together.
Now, what you can't see is I'm almost directly in front of Andrew, like 4 seats back. And Andrew and Sam, I don't think the production team was too happy with this because me, Andrew, and Sam were fucking around the whole time. So Sam would be like, hey, get that fat guy back here and make him act like he fell on the stage. Make him act like he
This sounds like a fun set to be on.
fell. And the guys are like, okay, why? And he's like, because it would be funny. Just do that. And so I'd come up and act like I fell. And he's like, what's this fat guy doing? That's it. It was
So they're like bullying you.
a lot of fun. It was a good time hanging out with these guys.
Get one hell of a venue and put together some of the funnest and most riveting debates that you've ever seen. And I'm going to moderate these debates. And this is going to be fantastic.
And if you're lucky, maybe at the end, Andrew might debate.
Maybe.
I don't know. Why would we have Michael Jordan sitting inside coaching? Why not throw him in the game?
We're going to have the best on, and we're going to put it in the best venue.
There's debates all over the place, but there's no brand of excellence where you go, this is where the best go to bang.
And to that effect, that's exactly what we're putting together in this venue. Now we're going to bring that standard of having all that moderation excellence, where I can moderate this debate fairly. A lot of people try their hand at debate moderation, and it's actually far more difficult than people think to do it right. Coming up with the goal
The sleeves. Tripoli, dude.
standard for the format was critical, and we worked on it. My entire
Chairs will
team
be
worked
different,
on
don't
it,
worry.
along with Tripoli's entire team, and we came up with just a banger of a venue.
A banger. We're going to take pro sports with pro
Like
debates.
they must be self-conscious about the banger bang thing. Like that must be they're leaning into that, right? That's not a random thing. This was highly choreographed and scripted. I have to. Did they just wing it? We should do a behind the scenes like interview with Rob. I'm way more like invested. I do want to do this. I want to be clear. I want to do this. I want to be there. I want to be invited. But I'm like a little bit more fascinated by the production side here than I am the prospect.
And create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best of the best going at it, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless. Put up or shut up, okay? That's the show.
People being able to eat, people being able to drink, people being able to actually have a good time.
That's a good time.
They actually want to meet the people who represent their worldviews, and they want to break bread with them. They want to actually talk to them. They want to kind of have input on these ideas because most of these debaters are representing whole worldviews. Whole worldviews on behalf of people who can't. The mechanic can't do it. The mechanic can't go on CNN and tell these pundits to go f themselves.
Yeah.
That ends up being the job of you, the representation of the worldview.
We're like, what's the best place to do that? There's only one place. ACX1 Studios in Atlantic City.
You've
is
never
where
been
the
able to do a
champions
meet and
will be
greet
named.
before.
You want to cover it, you want to stream it, you want to restream it, you want to mix it up, you're more than welcome to do it until we get to the main event. When we're talking about the VIP side, right, we wanted to make sure that we had a third floor lounge right on
This B-roll fucking is incredible.
the ocean.
Yeah.
Right on the ocean.
This venue is beautiful.
Beautiful. And what we can do, and what we are doing, is we're going to make sure that if you get a VIP ticket, one, it's
It's giving prestige worldwide. It's so good.
affordable. Two, that when you come out And you come up to the VIP section, you're right in front of the ocean, nice fireplace roaring, huge area for us to relax and have a good time post-debate. We want you to be able to meet the representations of your worldview. That's never really been done before.
I can't get over that. He's claiming to invent meet and greets. It's never been done before that you would meet the people. Like, what? What does that even mean?
And it's
a debate has never been organized before where you can talk to the people.
Different type of venue that we're really looking forward to sharing with all of you.
It's real simple. All you're going to have to do is go to wordwardebate.com. Grab your tickets now. This will sell out.
Wordwardebate.com. Make sure you go there.
And it all goes down January 10th, Atlantic City at ACX1 Studios, right next to Caesar's Palace.
Now, I'll also let you know, again, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I don't think anyone will mind this. This is going to plan to be a recurring event. This isn't going to be something that happens once every 8 months. Once we start in January, you're going to see something every 60 days. And it's really going to take off. The names that we're kicking around for the first event will make it so that if someone gets a call to do the second debate, they're going to be like, abso-fucking-lutely. Because that's how big
my email's open, Rob.
Debates are going to be.
You know my DMs. I want to do this.
Seen when I talk about, I've been very busy. My part on this is basically doing everything that needed done. I worked with people like Mr. E and other people over at the Crucible, coming up with production.
I don't like that Tripoli's shitting on Rob. I don't like Tripoli sounds like a fucking idiot. He was goofed on by Red Bar. Looks like he takes himself you look like a guy who takes himself a little bit too seriously. And I don't like that he's like, oh, make the fat guy roll over in bullying Rob. I think that's mean-spirited. I think that's like a jackass thing to do, is to like make Rob who's working like really hard and who's considered kind of like an equal to, and like I wasn't there. And so maybe this is all done in like in jest and it was all funny and all above board, but I don't like that shit. Like, be professional. He's here to like help out and he's being a facilitator and he's really excited. And yeah, you have the connection. It doesn't mean you can just treat everyone like shit and treat them like your fucking court jester. Okay? That's Rob, okay? That's not just some guy, Tripoli. What a douchebag. I hate that. And Rob, you know, he probably doesn't want to rain on it a little bit, but and maybe it was all done in good jest or whatever. I just don't like that kind of like go personal and attack the crew or attack I didn't like that. I didn't like to hear that.
Is the show format, how we're going to separate this and make it, trying to run that fine line for having this be as entertaining as possible for the audience, but also a serious debate for the competitors. We've been busting our ass behind the scenes. Andrew has been busting.
Yeah, they're busting their ass, and Tripoli comes in and says, hey, get the fat guy to roll over like a fucking goon from Arkham Asylum. I think that's out of line. I mean, maybe it wasn't good. I don't want to, I wasn't there, but that just, I like that.
Ass behind the scenes. This is just one project, by the way. The amount of phone calls, in-person meetings,
the banging,
setting this up with all sorts of people from all walks of life has been crazy.
How many black people do you think are in the crew? Just kidding. Do you have a diversity coordinator? The diversity coordinator is Aftershock.
And so a lot of this shit you can't announce until it's coming to fruition. So it's hard when people are like, what's up? What's up? You weren't around. You weren't around for like 4 days. What were you up to? You can't really say. And by the way, this isn't the only project. This isn't the only one.
There's others?
A team of people.
So there's more projects? Is it going to be Word War Debate 2?
That's being put together with serious backing.
Oh, and that's why he was like clowning on Sarah Tomato, because like Sarah Tomato was maybe going to be in on the ground floor on Word War Debate, and because she like was a little kind of catty with Rob, Andrew like cut her off from this opportunity. And he was like gloating about that. But when fucking Sam Tripoli starts fucking dunking on your boy, calling him a clown, Andrew, you're not going to stand tall because it's what? Because it's fucking Tripoli? And that's your meal ticket, I guess? I don't like it at all. I don't like Tripoli. Is there a way to do this without Tripoli? Can we drop Tripoli and still have the connections to Rogan? Fuck. Oh, I hate that.
From serious financial people, from serious well-known people.
Oh yeah, you have a direct causality, Radical Coder, for the future of word war debate. It's the little fucking butterfly effects. Radical Coder is the reason that there was not a feminine touch on the production side here that could have desperately been needed in this hyper-masculine environment and homoerotic workplace.
It's going to be a big opportunity for a lot of people in the online debate sphere. That you may find yourself in an event that the headliners could potentially be congressmen, could be some of the biggest.
Could be Congress people? Fuck, I'd love to debate like a Republican. Sign me up, but they won't do it. They won't let me do it. I just want a prelim. I should message Rob and delete all these VODs and hope he didn't watch them. I did. Wait, I want to be clear. Rob, if you're watching this, I said that you won against tomfoolery. Now, that wasn't a hard call for me, seeing as Tom sort of maybe conceded in his opening statement. But I was fair and balanced in that entire debate review. That's available. So, just a little fun. I call that one fair. So I might DM Rob and be like, hey, consider me for a prelim.
Podcasters in the world.
The biggest podcaster in the world? Wait, did you say that?
Could potentially be congressmen. Could be some of the biggest podcasters in the world.
Like?
And it's going to require a lot of moving parts and a lot of production.
Like Joe Rogan? Because of Tripoli?
Behind the scene. And it's going to require a good team of people that are getting along. And it's a serious opportunity for myself and for everyone else that'll be working behind the scenes. And so I'm very happy that we have a team of people that'll be working on this that are going to be on a team.
Not Sarah. Oof.
They're not going to be shit talking or anything like that. This is all hands on deck.
Except for Tripoli. Except for Tripoli? I don't like he did that to you, Rob. I don't like that. That's toxic.
Moving forward. No one wants to fuck that up. Everybody is going to push to make this an incredible success. It's actually amazing that no one's tried to do something like this in a serious way.
Modern day debate does this. Other people do this.
Dana White made slapping a multi-million-dollar industry. There has never been a time where there has been as much interest in debate as there is right now. And to take the ideas of production values that you see with something like UFC and try to incorporate that into debate, I think is an amazing idea.
And they have like the story arcs with like the little background videos of like, oh, this is Pisco. Pisco grew up in this and that, and this is his like sob story, and and like there's a rematch. Oh, this could be good. Let him cook.
And I think that the people behind this, Sam's team that he has over there, the team at ACX1 Studio, I've met the guys over there. They're tremendous. The guys that are working with the Enlightened Network, they're top notch.
The Enlightened Network? Sounds like the fucking successor to Heaven's Gate. The branch Davidians.
Some of it's lost on me. They're taking me through, and they're showing me all their equipment. What the fuck do I know? I'm like, yeah, I stream with a Logitech. It's kind of funny.
So what exactly would you say you do here? He's probably like managing people. Maybe he's just like an all hands. Maybe he's just like a trusted a trusted voice for Andrew. But it sounds like it doesn't have production experience.
But they need integral people that understand debate.
So he's like the debate coordinator, or like the debate. The thing is,
Have Andrew. He's the face of this, which he should be. He's earned it. And he is going to take this amazing places. Not only is he an absolute fantastic debater.
Oh, wait, this was Hippy Dippy's idea. This is Dylan Burns' IP. Fuck. You guys were saying this in the last time we reviewed this exact same announcement. But this was Dylan's idea. They just stole Dylan's idea. Oh no, that's WWE. This is UFC. You really gonna pull that one out? Dylan, you should sue. Just kidding, you can't sue. It's an idea. Ideas are not copyrightable, folks. Sorry.
Making inroads for online debate. In addition to that, he is one of the fairest moderators that you'll ever see. He's the exact type of person that you want to be fronting something like this. And he's an entertainer.
Andrew is?
But you're also going to need people.
Yeah, he's a really good entertainer. You fucking greased it. You look sniz. Don't fucking talk to me like that, you fucking gay person. What'd he say? Oh, I don't even want to say it. You lick sniz. Don't talk about my wife. Yeah, really understands
On other ends,
entertainment.
we're going to have, things are still in motion, but we're going to have like color commentators and commentators like you'd see in UFC.
Color commentators in the fucking debate? And it looks like wait, that's not gonna work. That's so fucking distracting. That's a good position here from Andrew Wilson. It's too much. Color commentators. Maybe to introduce. What's the bet that they're just using Rob to bank? Rob's not the money. He's the debate consultant. I assume there's an org chart here that he's a part of. And he's not just like, I don't know, crew.
They're going to be discussing the debate both before and after the debate.
Oh, okay. Before and after. All right. That's fine. That's not really color commentary, though. It's more just analysis.
If only we knew someone that could be a commentator on debate. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to have people booking debates. That's going to be a very important role here.
Yeah, I imagine.
We're going to have people setting up production value.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not debating first.
Oh, why
I
not?
imagine at some point I'll find myself into the debate square there. But first I have to become a name.
Oh, shit. Which means I need to become a name. Because we're kind of on a similar level. Which means I'm not going to be fucking invited.
It's a big opportunity. And it's a big opportunity for the people that are fans of the Crucible and in general, fans of online debate. Because inevitably, as this thing grows, yes, we are going to be getting premier names, but we're also going to be building up premier names. So how cool would it be to someone that, maybe hops on an online debate and one day you get that call?
Oh,
and the next thing you know,
fuck. That'd be like getting your ticket to fucking Hogwarts. God damn. I need that call. Hey, Pisco. This is Ben Swan with Word War Debate. Do you know why I'm calling you? Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't believe it. I don't fucking believe it. Well, we're airing our special in 3 months in Atlantic City, and we like your stuff. How you feel about flying out? I'm getting chills.
you're being flown out to Atlantic City to participate in a debate where the main card's a congressman, one of the world's biggest podcasters, etc. It's an amazing opportunity for the communities that are taking debate seriously. It's a big opportunity.
I'm not debating Shapiro, guys. I'm reviewing a Shapiro video.
It's one of the things have been talked about recently. Oh, I'm sure there'll be merch there. Don't worry. You'll see, man. You'll see. As we get closer, we'll be able to show off more
Merch?
but I'm telling you, it's gonna be huge. This is just great.
I should actually. I'm unironically going to buy a word world. Fuck. What's the? A word war debate hoodie. So I'll let you guys know. This is actually. I'm doing more promotion for this fucking thing than anyone I've seen. Okay? It's 3 streams so far. We're covering this shit. I should get special consideration, you fuckers. And yeah, I will post a link to buy the merch. We're day 1 supporters.
Scratching the surface. There's shit about this.
Hey, Pisco, you want to be a star, don't you? If you want to be a fuck. You want to be a star, you got to learn how to bang.
There are parties that are interested that aren't involved right now that would blow your fucking mind.
What the fuck does that mean? There are parties who are interested who are not involved that would blow your mind. So people who have expressed interest but who are not committed, that would blow your mind.
There are parties that are interested that aren't involved right now that would blow your fucking mind.
Okay.
It almost doesn't feel real. That's how big it is. When I was out there, I was like, are you fucking shitting me? The scale of what is being talked about is unfucking believable. And I mean that in every way you can imagine. I mean that the scale of the potential people we're going to have debating, the scale of the potential people that may end up backing this, the scale of the people that are already backing it, the scale of the venue. Watson Gill, I'm not saying anyone's name.
Drew Pavlou.
I'm just saying there are big people interested.
Drew Pavlou.
And they want to see what the interest level in something like this is.
So good. No live and learn.
This is going to be serious security
Probably
that's
Thursday.
being ran by people in the casino business. There will be no fucking around when it comes to stuff like that. It is going to be
Stuff like
an
what?
absolute professional masterclass on how to set up a venue and how to set up a production.
If the videos are anything to... if it's any indication.
It's a lot of fucking work. It is.
No, I
have
actually
election
do appreciate the enthusiasm by Rob. I think he's worked really hard on this, and I super appreciate that. That's why I fucking am mad at Tripoli for ragging on him. I think that's bullshit.
Doing it.
What the fuck? It's so funny. Masterclass production. Stream cuts out.
Call again. So, I don't know. It's something that obviously you guys can hear me now, right? I hope. Check. Let me know if you can hear me. Did they get me?
They don't want us to do wood
Oh, you
war
can hear me now.
debate.
Yeah, it's fuck you guys, all that talk of production. Trust me, I'm not going to be on that type of production, on the technical aspect of it. So, yeah, so there was a lot recently of just events that came up, and there was a lot of talk about ventures that were going on behind the scenes and shit that couldn't be discussed. This
Oh, is he about to fucking stunt on Sarah Tomato?
is what we were talking about. So, I hope to make you all proud. I hope to make the rest of the Crucible audience proud. I hope to make everyone that's a fan of sort of the online sort of debate community proud.
Yeah.
And the online streaming community.
Make us proud. Fuck Tripoli, dude. You don't need that clown.
This is the plan. We're taking this imminently seriously.
Imminently. Seriously. It's imminent. Because it is in January, I think.
And we're not taking a fucking step back. We will
Not
be professional
one,
to people.
Not one step back. We will make a UFC debate program.
No matter what side of the ledger they come from, left, right, anywhere in between. But we also know that this is an opportunity for the best ideas to win, and we believe we have the best ideas.
Yo, Pisco versus Brett Kavanaugh. Let's do it. Let's fuck. Word war debate. Representing the right worldview. It is Brett Kavanaugh, sitting Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. The left, it's Pisco Liddy from Twitter. I'm Andrew Wilson, and we'll be starting with Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Kavanaugh, why do you think that the laws of logic presuppose the Christian worldview?
And we're proud of that. I've said this for years before I streamed full time, before I was working with the Crucible. The way we win is by exposing the truth. And the way the establishment wins is by covering it up.
The way we win is by making a UFC style event actually based.
And so I am thrilled to be part of this. And it is really an amazing opportunity for me. And I can't thank Andrew enough for bringing me on board. Also, I do believe I am actually the closest, other than a few of the guys that are like real bigwig guys that live right around Atlantic City and New York City there. I believe I live closest to the venue at a mere 7 hours away, I think.
Oh, I'm closer. Looks like I'll get there first, Rob. And get the best seat on the bang bus couch that you've installed in the VIP room.
Now, the other thing, and I'll leave Andrew talk more about this, but I'm of mind with him. We will not compromise on our principles for this. If this was not done in a way that we were comfortable with, we would have walked away.
Good.
We would have. No questions. Not pissing around with it.
I don't know what he's talking about. But good.
So this isn't going to be something where it's like, oh, these guys are selling out and they're doing that. Nope.
Selling out.
I'm an employee.
Why are you charging?
Andrew and Sam's vision was the premier debate league with combining the most prestigious, fair debates possible with the highest entertainment value possible. That's the idea. Anything that compromises that is a no-go. So I'm excited. I was very pleased. I've been fucking waiting for them to announce this forever. It's been absolutely torturous. I know why they were waiting. I'm not going to talk about that, but oh yeah, there will be grifting. There will be money to be made. Don't get me wrong.
So you're selling out. Big time.
Got to meet Sam. That was.
He looks a little hurt about that.
That was fun. He's a great
fun,
guy.
huh? Great. He bullied you. Let's see if he mentions it again.
But yeah. So, are there any questions that people have about it? Here's the best way to
TLDR me more about this and your involvement with it. So, I'm trying to angle myself to get an invite to this word war debate. It's kind of an all-purpose venue to get the best of bang in terms of debate in Atlantic City, casino style. Maybe go to the casinos, maybe go to a strip club and have some fun with the boys. It's going to be like a UFC. It's going to be high entertainment, and they're not going to compromise on their values in any respect. And also Sam Tripoli was like, I thought I heard Rob say Tripoli was like calling Rob fat. And I'm just like, who the fuck are you, Tripoli? I don't know. That's really sticking at... And Rob, a consummate professional here. Not throwing him under the bus for that, but mentioning it. Like, why? Oh, yeah, he was funny. We were joking around. He called me fat. He said to roll on the... I hate that. That's like bullshit. Who does Tripoli think he is?
have your question answered by me. Oh, we got a raid coming in? Who's raiding in? Someone's raiding. Hello, Weege. Aye. Oh, the Crucible raiding in. How about that? Sam Tripoli's raiding in. The bastard. Oh, Crucible raiding in for Timcast. My man, Mr. E. That guy put in a ton of fucking work to this, let me tell you.
Mr. E? Mystery! Oh, we got like the Riddler.
It's been an absolute pleasure working with the Crucible in all aspects so far. Everyone over there, whether it be doing the extravaganza with Mr. E and Jake, whether it be working on this project, just getting other shit together, working on DebateCon stuff, working on debate preps, shit like that. Really, it's really been...
You really didn't need to prepare that much for the Tom Fuller debate because you can see it in his opening statement.
Incredible opportunity. And it's allowed me to do the streaming full time. And I can't say enough how indebted I am to Andrew and to everyone else over there at the Crucible. So we'll wait for them to get over and then I'll talk a little about it. Hello, Mr. E. If you could hear me, he probably isn't listening.
We're almost done with this, folks.
I will answer more questions about it and I'll sort of rediscuss what's going on here. Now, a lot of this isn't mine to discuss. I'm just giving the very broad strokes because Rachel put out the message. So we'll wait for people to get over here. There's the comment of the day. This fucking guy. That's fair. How did the entire damn Crucible family do over there on Timcast. I was watching some of it. They sounded very good. I didn't recognize the guy in the beanie that was taking over for Tim, though.
Mr.
But
F.
yeah, Jake, Rachel, and Andrew over there. Mr. E messed up the raid. Sure, looks good to me.
Only.
They did good.
8-hour drive from Toronto.
So,
I'm closer than
Mr.
Rob.
E, get your ass to the BaitCon. Yeah.
Oh
What's
my
up, Mr. E?
god.
Mr. E don't have time for fucking DebateCon.
Mr. F.
As soon as Timcast ended, Andrew Price sent Mr. E a checklist of like 500 things. Mr. E, do this.
TLDR me, the Rob Tom debate you just mentioned. Who won? I haven't watched the whole thing. If we have time, I might. It wasn't looking good for Tom. The problem is, like, love Tom, mean it. We support Tom. We love the Tom tent. But Tom, the proposition was who does more political violence, the left or the right? Tom starts in like his first or second sentence, or third sentence. He's like, I would concede that the left does more instances of violence, but the right murders more. Why would you concede that? And then he's like, I also concede that most of the studies are bullshit. Also, Rob, I'm going to let you hit me for the rest of the debate and just let you ask me questions. And I'm going to just like double down on seemingly to justify violence in unhinged ways in a conversation about how the right does less violence than the left. I'm just going to be spending most of my time just focusing on why it would be justified to use violence. Interesting strategy there, Tom.
This. Mr. E's like, I was thinking of getting dinner. You don't have fucking time to eat. Work. Mr. E's like, All Mr. E needs for sustenance is just angry at the stupid fucking people Andrew debates on whatever. That's it. The rage that he builds up every time that Andrew's debating some moron chick on whatever, that feeds Mr. E for a month. He's like a bear. He doesn't have to fucking, he just hibernates with that anger for a month. Just like, angered maple syrup. All right. So for the people that came over, a big announcement for the Crucible. Now, this isn't me breaking this. This is
Rachel.
The lady that you just saw there on Timcast. I actually put this up. And so Rachel put this out, and I'll talk a little about it, and then Andrew will be talking about this more as time goes on. But so this was posted. Enjoy. This is Rachel Wilson. I'll put the link so you could check this out if you want.
Fuck, we're gonna watch it again. Nice.
Here we go. Now, just so you know, you're getting the sort of junior version of talking about this story. Because Andrew, it's his idea. Tim and Sam Tripoli's idea. It's their project. I'm just a very small part behind the scenes as a Crucible team member. But it's huge news. So we'll play the video for you. Then we have another video to play for you.
Coming up with the gold standard for the format was critical. There's debates all over the place, but there's no brand of excellence. And to that effect, that's exactly what we're putting together in this video. My entire team worked on it, along with Tripoli's entire team, and we came up with just a banger of a venue. What you're going to get are the best of the best, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless. This is where the best go to bang.
It is time
The best go to bang. I can't believe that's their fucking
is proud to present the new gold standard of debates.
slogan.
Word War Debate, the premier
Word War Debate.
So yeah, Andrew's the face of this. He will be the moderator. All of this centers around Andrew and sort of his debate acumen. He's going to be the face of this. It's going to be produced by Sam Tripoli. Sam is a tremendous comedian, a regular on Joe Rogan's show.
Tremendous comedian.
Ben Swan.
Wait, hang on a second.
What mainstream network he was
we
at.
need to do a little tremendous comedian. Sam Tripoli's a tremendous comedian. Okay, Rob.
Big news, man. He's going to be the host of this. It's going to be fucking huge. I'll play the other video for you as well. Now, the first event's going to be January 10th, but this will be something that's reoccurring.
Fuck, I should go to
the
this.
longer video for that, so I'll play it again. Sorry to my audience. This is what I said. Maybe I shouldn't have even mentioned it until the Crucible was done watching.
I need
so
a golden ticket.
I want you to take note of the menu, and then I'll talk about it just a little.
The Enlightened Network is proud to
Fuck,
present
we're watching
Word
it
War
a
Debate,
sixth
the premier
time.
debate league. I'm Ben Swan, and I'm here to introduce the new gold standard of debates. Every statement, every argument, every counterpoint is tested under the lights in real time.
Counterpoints.
Let's send it over now to Andrew Wilson and Sam Tripoli inside the ACX.
You guys are gonna watch it again.
What we decided to do was get a great team of people together, get one hell of a venue,
Look at
and
those
put together some of the
sleeves,
funnest
man.
and most riveting debates
Look at his
I've ever seen.
face.
And I'm going to moderate these debates. And this is going to be fantastic.
Look at that
And if you're
stain
lucky,
on that
maybe at the
shirt.
end, Andrew might debate. We don't know. Why
We
do
got the
have
Michael Jordan
Why
here.
not?
We're
Hey.
going to have the best on, and we're going to put it in the best venue.
There's debates all over the place, but there's no brand of excellence where you go, this is where the best go to bang.
And to that effect, that's exactly
Best
what we're
go
putting
to
together in
bang.
this video. Now we're going to bring that
Where the
standard
best
of
go to
having all that moderation
bang.
excellence, where I can moderate
Word
the
War
debate.
Debate,
A lot
where
of
the
people
best
try
go to
their
bang.
hand at debate moderation,
Look at his
and it's
fucking
actually
face. Is
far
he
more
like
difficult than people think to do it right. Coming up with
freaking
the gold
out?
standard for the format was critical, and we worked on it. My entire team worked on it, along with Tripoli's entire team, and we came up with just a banger of a venue.
A banger. We're gonna
Banger.
take pro sports with pro debates and create a beautiful hybrid. What you're going to get are the best of the best going at it, the smartest, the fastest, the most ruthless. Put up or
Fastest.
shut up, okay? That's the show.
People being able to eat, people being able to
People being
drink,
able to eat,
people
people
being
to
able to actually have a
breathe,
good
people
time.
able to
They actually want to meet the people who represent their worldviews.
have
They want to break
homeostasis
them. They want
and
to actually talk to them. They want to
homosexual
kind of have
sex.
input on these ideas because most of these debaters are representing whole worldviews. Whole worldviews on behalf of people who can't. The mechanic can't do it. The mechanic can't go on CNN and tell these pundits to go themselves.
Can't
that
bang.
ends up being the job of you, the representation of the worldview.
And we're like, what's the best place to do that? There's only one place. ACX1 Studios in Atlantic City is where the champions will be named.
If you want to cover it, you want to stream it, you want to restream it, you want to mix it up, you're more than welcome to do it until we get to the main event. When we're talking about the VIP side, right? We want to make sure we have a third floor lounge right on the ocean.
Oh.
Right on the ocean.
This venue is beautiful.
Beautiful. And what we can do and what we are doing is we're going to make sure that if you get a VIP ticket, one, it's affordable.
Yeah.
Two, that when you come out and you come up to the VIP section, you're right in front of the ocean, nice fireplace roaring, huge area for us to relax and have a good time post-debate. We want you to be able to meet the representations of your worldview. That's never really been done before.
Never been
And
done.
It's a whole different type of venue that we're really looking forward to sharing with all of you.
It's real simple. All you're going to have to do is go to wordwardebate.com, grab your tickets now. This will sell out.
Wordwardebate.com. Make sure you go there.
And it all goes down January 10th, Atlantic City at ACX1 Studios, right next to Caesar's Palace.
Let's buy all the tickets and resell them. We'll make millions.
So, to answer some of the questions I see, then I'll read. Actually, I'll just start reading super chats. Darth Blackstar, thanks for being a member. If you have any questions, please send in a super chat and I'll try to read it about this. Thank you so much, Darth Blackstar. Bruce, thank you,
the part that I saw, he was like talking about Ron DeSantis or something. Or he used Ron DeSantis as an example. But I don't want to see him fucking read all his super chats. All right, we're done with this. But hopefully you guys got a sense of word war debate. We love this. We're going to try to join. We're going to try to debate Marco Rubio or something. We'll do something like that. You sure? One more? Yeah, I mean, might as well. Ha, ha, ha. Honestly, UFC of debate, even if done correctly, is so cringe when I really think about it as someone who willingly watches content like that. It's camp. It's good, yeah. The ocean B-roll. Fucking amazing. And you know what? You know what I'm going to say here? You know what I'm going to say? Update on Comey! All right, finally, your legal analysis. I know you guys were really struggling to get through the word war debate updates. I'll provide more as we get closer to the date. I'll tell you about my ticket. I'm gonna see if I can cop a VIP. Hopefully it's not too expensive, like $2,000 or something. I mean, they could sell it like that. It's on the water. All right. So first off, this is a hugely significant ruling out of the Eastern District of Virginia regarding Comey's criminal case. And it's important to underscore that the standard that's being applied in this magistrate's decision is like highly unusual. What's being proposed is having the prosecution essentially hand over everything from the grand jury to the defense. Grand jury materials typically have the presumption of secrecy. If you recall the whole shebang regarding the Epstein files that were under seal, which, again, stressing is a small percentage of the overall amount of quote-unquote Epstein files within the universe, and certainly within the control of the Department of Justice. There was this question about whether or not we can get the courts to release the grand jury materials for purposes of like the public benefit. Okay? And what the courts found, which was probably known to the Trump administration, is that there was no lawful exception to pierce the grand jury secrecy presumption. Those exceptions are found in the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, and none applied to the kind of thing that they were trying to do with the Epstein files, which, again, to stress, that was a farce, and they have more files, just as much as a farce as this whole thing is about, like, pushing for the law to be passed that requires us to release Epstein files that are already within our power to release by Trump. So it's all just fucking dumb shit, posturing and lies and deception from the administration. But here in the Comey case, we're not going to read this whole thing, but I read the whole thing, and I'm going to give you the long and short of it and get to exciting bits, right? You come here for the exciting little bits. This ruling is currently stayed by the district judge. So there's the Article 3 judge in the district court that's nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. But because there's so many cases we have a magistrate magistrate judge system under which other people will fill in for the kind of running of certain procedures, maybe to get a search warrant and to do some preliminary motions, that kind of stuff. And because this is such a, an unusual exercise of authority by the court, not that it's never been done before, but it's a high standard to do this. I'm not surprised that the district judge, that is not the magistrate judge, his boss, right, essentially, the federally, Article 3 judge that was appointed, he's doing a temporary stay and expedited briefing. Doesn't surprise me. So that the current status is the government's brief is due in 2 days, the 19th, very fast, and then I think the defendant's response is due on the 21st. So very quick timeline to resolve this particular issue. Long and short of it is the court, that is the magistrate judge here, ordered the prosecution to hand over all their materials. And there are numerous bases for why they did that. And regardless of whether or not ultimately that decision will stand, the underlying facts of what occurred here are so outrageous, so inappropriate, and show, I think, that the prosecution, which was already factually fucked, is on even shakier ground than, yesterday or the day before. And you'll see why as I go through, basically what's going on here. So you'll see the court is addressing the narrow issue of whether there are particularized and factually based grounds to justify disclosure of grand jury materials to the defense pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E3 big E little I. So this is one of the exceptions to the traditional rule of grand jury secrecy. You get me? And notice what the court says. The court recognizes this is an extraordinary remedy. It's not often done. But given the factually based challenges the defense has raised to the government's conduct... Wait, can I just, click this? Cool. And the prospect the government misconduct may have tainted grand jury proceedings, disclosure is necessary to fully protect the rights of the accused. That is, James B. Comey, Jr., Barty Crouch, Jr. Fucking name that thing that I just quoted. All right. You don't really... let me think. So, actually, this is kind of important. But maybe I'll do it out of order. Okay. So, this investigation relates to matters that were initially investigated in 2019, 2020. This is under the first administration. They're going into the Dan Richmond and James Comey, potential for a leak of classified information and that kind of stuff. Okay? Remember, Comey is being indicted not for leaking classified information or anything like that, but for lying to Congress. What is he alleged? And I think it's arguably defective the way that they alleged it in their criminal complaint. What are they saying? They're basically saying that he lied to Ted Cruz on a fucking super ambiguous and confusing set of questions, incorporating answers to Chuck Grassley in 2017 testimony past the statute of limitations. And that's what they're charging him for. They're not charging him with leaking classified information. And it's about whether he authorized or leaked or authorized someone else to leak at the FBI to a news, or a journalist, things related to the Russia investigation Trump investigation and or Clinton investigation as an anonymous source. So that's the nature of the allegation here against Comey. It's not leaking classified materials. And part of this was investigated, or specifically more on the Dan Richmond side of things. They were more focused on Dan Richmond stuff, as opposed to trying to they did review Comey for substantive liability in other ways, but they executed warrants on Dan Richman. Now, guys, Dan Richman is a lawyer. Who knows why that might be relevant to this whole thing? First person to get it gets a golden star for the day. Dan Richman is a lawyer, a prominent lawyer, professor type. Why is that relevant? Why, oh why? Tell me why. No one's getting it. Bueller. Privilege. All right? Privilege. Specifically, he was James Comey's lawyer for a relevant period of time. And notice how the court starts here. They say, on October 13th, the government moved for implementation of a filter protocol to govern its handling and disclosure of potentially privileged material. Disclosure of privileged material to whom? Well, privileged material where the privilege belongs to James Comey, right? In attorney-client communications that are done for the purpose of seeking, receiving, whatever, facilitating legal advice, the privilege belongs to the client. That's who the privilege belongs to. And of course, the client needs to waive it. And that privilege is so strong, it extends beyond the grave. It's a strong privilege. There are exceptions, right? Crime, fraud exceptions. So I don't want you to go into the Tim Pool world of absurdity where lawyers can't ever commit crimes. And so long as they're tailoring their communications in such a way as it has a facial argument that it's related to legal representation, and therefore you're beyond the scope of the law or like criminal law or anything. There are exceptions, right? And that's why they were able to get the communications between Trump and his attorneys. Why? Because Trump was talking to his attorneys and telling them, attempting to get them to obstruct justice by lying and hiding documents. So there are exceptions to privilege. And the court starts here by saying, on October 13th, this is the first time the government moved for implementation of a filter protocol. And this is done to prevent members of the government to ever get access to stuff that they're not allowed to see because the privilege belongs to, like, Comey. So the people who, it's kind of like, okay, we'll have part of the team, a filter team, and they'll be in charge of looking at all the privilege stuff. And we'll separate them, we'll hermetically seal them to avoid the potential of tainting the team that's actually in charge of the prosecution by giving them information they don't have the right to use in this context. So the court starts, okay, on October 2025. Folks, that's like less than a month ago. The material at issue was seized in 2019 and 2020 pursuant to court-authorized warrants in a different district and as part of a separate investigation. The defense opposed the motion, in part on the grounds that the information the government sought to review was improperly retained after the conclusion of the prior investigation, improperly used in this investigation, and the government had already accessed potentially privileged information. So Comey's saying, wait a second, hold the phone here. So you're telling me that you illegally, their argument goes, illegally retained information that you weren't allowed to retain. You never implemented a filter protocol prior to the decision to bring this charge and to ferret out privileged material. And for the first time, you're raising this issue of a filter protocol on the eve of trial. Remember, Comey is opting for a very quick trial. It's like within 6 or 7 weeks. The defense argued that its concerns with the government's respect for and ability to safeguard the defense attorney-client privilege materials are not merely hypothetical because the lead case agents may have been exposed to attorney-client privileged materials. That's a no-no, right? Not supposed to do that. Not supposed to do that. this other stuff isn't as important, the court eventually reviewed the grand jury materials at issue in this case. And that's related to the privilege issue because it bears on like what they did with these warrants, and there are multiple legal issues with these warrants and what they did with the documents, bears on the presentation to the jury and potential prejudice to Comey's rights, certainly his due process rights, among other things. And so you're going to start to see, okay, well, what's going on here? So the court is authorizing the production of, and actually requiring, it's currently stayed, right, the production of grand jury materials to remedy some kind of harm that was done to Comey and potentially, as you'll see, dismiss the case. And you'll notice, right, the general rule is this is secret, bro. But Rule 6E got some exceptions we got to think about. In this case, Comey seeks access to materials in order to move for dismissal of the indictment based on alleged irregularities in the grand jury proceedings. So that's like, he already has like 3 pending motions to dismiss for vindictive prosecution, non-trivial, right? Given what Trump did. For literal truth and essentially ambiguous questioning that can't legally, as a legal matter, as a matter of law, be a basis for a lying charge. And then also a motion to dismiss based on the illegal appointment of Lindsay Halligan, this freak, this ghoul that was allegedly appointed to this office. And so now they're going for the 4th, which I think is also non-trivial. We're moving to dismiss, or we're going to try to move to dismiss, on the basis of irregularity in the grand jury proceeding. So that's at least 4. There might be another one, I'm not sure. But at least 4 that I'm aware of, motions to dismiss, each one of them I think is non-trivial. Each one of them would prevent a trial from even occurring. And I think Comey has a good chance if it goes to trial. So yeah, these are non-trivial. And they want these grand jury materials for the purpose of seeking out this motion to dismiss based on irregularities in the grand jury proceedings. The relevant exception is Rule 6E3E(2), permitting a court to authorize disclosure at a time, in a manner, and subject to any other conditions that it directs at the request of a defendant who shows that a ground may exist to dismiss the indictment because of a matter that occurred before the grand jury. A majority of courts have held that the appropriate standard the defendant must meet to gain disclosure under this particular exception is that of particularized need, borrowed from the standard and the case law applying this. So they're applying case law, saying this is basically a high standard. That's what this is saying. It's a high standard, that's the thing. And the Fourth Circuit has held that particularized need requires a trial court to balance, all the traditional grand jury secrecy policy considerations with the particular needs of like the defendants. You got to weigh it. Courts in this district have made clear that this is not just an invitation to engage in a fishing expedition. So you don't use this to just go look around and start to poke around and maybe something bad happened here. That's not real. This rule is for more weighty things. You're not allowed to just go look for a potential abuse. Grand jury proceedings are entitled to a strong presumption of regularity, and it's a heavy burden. So this is the court acknowledging that this is in a pretty citation heavy way. This is a heavy burden for the defendant, but he's going to meet it. And now you start to see some of what this is all about. In 2017, under Trump, right? The Trump attorney's office, U.S. Attorney's Office, initiated this Arctic Haze investigation. The FBI, right? Or referred to by the FBI as that, Arctic Haze. It concerned an allegation of unauthorized disclosure of classified information to a New York Times reporter in an April 22nd, 2017 article titled "Comey Tried to Shield the FBI from Politics, Then He Shaped an Election." So this is an article that predates, I think, Comey's firing. I think Comey was fired in July or June. But I'll double check that for you. I don't want to be accused of the fake news. The vandalisms. May 2017. So about a month, maybe a little less than a month before his firing. Okay. And Richmond was quoted by name. And he was the subject of the investigation. So this article is not the basis, or if it is, then they're fucked, of the Comey indictment, because here, Richmond was not an anonymous source. Richmond was a quoted source, a named source. But that's just the basis of this initial investigation. Is let's take a look at Richmond. We open the investigation in Trump's tenure, term 1. Okay? And 2 years later, 2019, 2020, FBI goes and says, hey, we want 4 warrants to search Richmond's shit. Okay? Which they're calling the Richmond warrants. It allowed you to search specifically for this shit, for stuff in this time frame, and it needs to be evidence of violations of theft and conversion of stolen government property, and this is the Espionage Act, the classified mishandling statute. This is the same thing that Trump was charged with, or a version of it, and for which Biden was investigated as well. Is we're going to take a look, and these warrants, right, which they went to a neutral arbiter, a neutral judge, maybe a magistrate judge, to get these warrants in 2019, 2020, specifically for info in this time frame, okay, and related to these things. That's because our Fourth Amendment, which says there shall not be any unreasonable searches or seizures, and that you need to get a warrant in general, exceptions, that is particularized and describes what needs to be searched and for what. You can't have these general warrants, which was a practice of the British, where they would just have general warrants or writs of assistance that gave wider latitude regarding what they're allowed to search for. There's a particularity requirement in the Fourth Amendment for warrants, and that is meant to prevent these kinds of wide-seeking warrants that are untailored to the kind of evidence of probable cause that was given to the judge in the first place to sign off on the warrant, because that's the standard, right? Probable cause. The information seized pursuant to the Richmond warrants during the Arctic Haze investigation is at the center of the current dispute between the parties in the case. So this is the important shit. That's what the judge here is saying. This is the important stuff. All right? This is the substantive evidence upon which the government is relying. The record reflects that in 2019, 2020, the government took modest and, as it turned out, ineffective steps to identify and isolate potentially privileged information contained in the material seized pursuant to the Richmond warrants. For example, the government permitted Columbia to review the emails seized from Mr. Richmond's Columbia email accounts and withhold private or otherwise sensitive communication. So the government says, all right, this is what the government does, right? Richmond, we're going to do this warrant, but before we search and take a look at these materials, we're going to give Columbia, where he worked, an opportunity to do a kind of a search to see if there's any sensitive documents from them. The government also provided Mr. Richmond and his counsel with an opportunity to review the material seized from his devices and to assert privilege. So, and Richmond, you're going to have an opportunity to try to assert privilege, make a privlog or something, to assert privilege over certain documents where you have privilege, right? Where there could be something where Dan Richmond has established an attorney-client relationship, and Richmond might be able to assert privilege because Richmond himself is being investigated, right? But don't forget, Richmond is himself a lawyer. The government claims the documents and communications identified by Columbia and Mr. Richmond as privileged were never reviewed as part of the Arctic Haze investigation. However, right, so they're saying these the things that you guys marked as privileged, we didn't review that stuff. That's what the government says, right? But this is the key part. Who didn't you talk to? Who didn't you actually go to? The government never engaged Mr. Comey in this process, even though it knew Mr. Richmond represented Comey as his attorney as of May 9th, 2017. Hey, that's within the window here. You see that? May 9th, May 30th, 21 days. 21 days. You see that? So the government, you knew at the time you executed this warrant, this is Trump term 1, you knew that Comey had engaged Richmond as his attorney. And 3 of the 4 Richmond warrants authorized the government to search Richmond's devices through May 30th, 2017, 21 days after the establishment of the attorney-client relationship. Did they ever contact Comey to do a priv review of his documents? No, they never did. According to an April 29, 2020 letter, and remember, Richmond can't make the privilege decision for Comey. It's Comey's privilege. Richmond is just his lawyer. Richmond is bound by the attorney-client privilege rule and his ethical obligations as a member of the court, as an officer of the court. According to an April 29, 2020 letter from Mr. Richmond's then attorney to the government, produced to this court ex parte by the defense. So that means the defense, Comey, produced a letter to the court and gave it directly to the judge. The DOJ informed Richmond that the data it had obtained extended to August 13th, 2019. But wait a second. Wait a second here. What did the warrant say? Warrant said you're allowed to get communications through May 30th. And it looks like they went beyond that. They went beyond the scope of what the warrant allowed for. It got this data and it retained it well outside the scope of the warrant and well past the date on which Mr. Richmond was retained as Mr. Comey's attorney. The same letter further states that the DOJ informed Richmond that it had seized data from Richmond's hard drive that extended to June 10th, 2017. Again, well into the period which Mr. Richmond represented Comey, despite the warrant imposing a temporal limit of April 30th. At the time the Richmond warrants were executed, the government was aware not only that Richmond represented Comey, but also that he maintained ongoing attorney-client relations with other individuals. As the FBI materials regarding his resignation from the special government employee status noted his intention to represent a defendant in federal criminal prosecution. As a result, when the government obtained the first Richmond warrant in 2019, it was clearly foreseeable that Richmond's devices contained potentially privileged communications with numerous third parties, including Mr. Comey. Nonetheless, in 2019-2020, the government made a conscious decision to exclude Comey from the filter process, even though Comey, as the client, is the privilege holder, not Richmond, right? Like, you need to get that in your head. The privilege belongs to Comey. The government's claim at the November 5th, 2025 hearing that Mr. Richmond, at the time himself the subject of a criminal investigation and represented by separate counsel, was in a position to effectively assert Comey's privilege is entirely unreasonable. Of course it is. Privilege does not belong to Richmond, and Richmond is a subject of an investigation, and obviously there is a potential conflict there, and Comey needs to be advised. Of equal concern is whether the government complied with a fundamental requirement of the Fourth Amendment and with the plain language of the warrants, that you can only seize the stuff that's authorized by the court. So there's the privilege issue, and then there's the Fourth Amendment issue. What's the Fourth Amendment issue? Well, we have these things called warrants. You're supposed to comply with the warrant and not go beyond the scope of the warrant. Under long-standing Fourth Amendment precedent, the government may search for and seize only those materials expressly authorized by the terms of a search warrant in connection with specific predicate offenses. Right? We're not supposed to have general warrants. You need to scrupulously contain your searches to the scope of the warrant. Suppressing evidence where search exceeded the scope of the warrant. Any other outcome would be contrary to the intent of the Fourth Amendment. The principle, referred to as the Fourth Amendment's particularity requirement, is fulfilled when the warrant identifies the items to be seized by their relation to the designated crimes and when the description of the items leaves nothing to the discretion of the officer executing the warrant. Here, the government was permitted to search all of Richmond's materials, but authorized to seize only evidence related to violations of the theft and conversion statute and the National Offense Information statute. Both markedly different offenses than those with which Mr. Comey is currently charged, right? Comey is charged with this false statement and the obstruction related to the false statement. So it's all kind of the same theory, but it's not theft. He's not being charged with theft or conversion. He's not being charged with NDI shit. There is nothing in the record to suggest the government made any attempt to identify what documents, communications, or other material seized from Mr. Richmond constituted evidence of violation of those crimes. So you never, ever try to comply with the particularity requirement as to the tailoring of the seizure having to be specified to the constitutive crimes for which probable cause was obtained. You just took the devices, took all the data, searched it, and kept all of it, seized all of it. You get why this is important? Because any of these communications or information that is not related to those two charges, the government should never have had that in the first place if they were complying with the Fourth Amendment. More to the point, the government, and this is under Trump Term 1, never consulted Comey on the issue of privilege, even though they were searching his lawyer's devices. To be clear, ensuring the agents and prosecutors seize only those things which a court has authorized is a critical early step in the execution of any warrant and an elemental responsibility of all government agents. When the undersigned question, that is, when me, questioned the AUSA currently assigned to this case a few weeks ago, as to how and whether a set of material responses responsive to the Richmond warrants were identified, the guy's like, I don't fucking know. And the guy's like, the judge is like, to be clear, these guys like weren't part of the initial team. So he's just basically saying the government doesn't have a good response as to how the government was complying with the Fourth Amendment. You get how that's a big deal? Following the hearing on November 5th, the court ordered the government to produce the defense all materials seized pursuant to the Richmond warrants in whatever form it is currently maintained. Pursuant to that order, the government provided the defense the materials seized from the Richmond warrants, but according to the defense, the manner and format in which the government provided the information did not reflect the government had seized, reviewed, and used only information responsive to the warrant. So you handed over the stuff from those warrants that you have in the current state in which they're, so like that's the order, and we looked at it, and it looks like the shit that's in here is beyond the scope of what the warrants actually allowed for. And so, the issue is you violated the Fourth Amendment. You didn't keep your seizure limited to the stuff in which the warrant told you to be limited. The potential failure by the government is even more concerning because the warrant issued on August 27, 2019 specifically directed the government to identify which information was responsive and instructed them to seal any information that doesn't fall within the scope of the warrant and not to further review it. So, in addition to the just general non-compliance, in one of the warrants specifically, they admonished them, like anything that is not within the scope of the warrants, you have to seal. You cannot review it until you make further requests or whatever. This provision is not repeated in the other warrants submitted by the government, but the approach is nevertheless plainly required on the face of each warrant and as discussed supra above in accordance with well-established Fourth Amendment precedent. So he's basically saying, even if this wasn't there, this would still be required. But it's even worse that one of the warrants had like an explicit admonition to seal everything. But he's saying like, don't, just because I'm mentioning this, don't get it twisted. Even if this wasn't there, you still needed to comply with the Fourth Amendment. The government appears to have conflated its obligation to protect privileged information, an obligation it approached casually at best in this case. Why casually at best? Because you talked to Columbia, you talked to Richmond, you didn't talk to fucking Comey. You didn't talk to his other clients. With its duty to seize only those materials authorized by the court. So you dipshit FBI agents or corrupt FBI agents, you guys, or I don't know, lazy, you guys did a semi-privilege review of some of the people for whom privilege could assert, and you didn't give two fucks about the Fourth Amendment. This cavalier attitude towards a basic tenet of the Fourth Amendment in multiple court orders left the government unchecked, right? You were able to rummage through all the information, and apparently in the government's eyes to do so again anytime they chose. The Fourth Circuit has held that government's prolonged retention and continued access to materials that are non-responsive to a search warrant may violate the Fourth Amendment. The Arctic Haze investigation was closed with no charges. The Richmond materials sat dormant with the FBI until the summer of 2025 when the Bureau chose to rummage through them again. Now, why did they choose to rummage through them again? Who has the answer to that one? Doesn't take a fucking genius. Why were they ordered to rummage through these documents they were never supposed to have? That they were ordered, and that basic Fourth Amendment principles compelled them not to seize. Why did they go ahead and do that? Because the Oval Office occupant by name of Trump ordered that shit. Trump told them to find something to charge Comey, and so they dig through a bunch of documents they weren't supposed to have that were unconstitutionally seized in violation not only of the Constitution, but of direct court orders, and for which no privilege review was ever sought regarding Comey at the time they did it. By the summer of 2025, this is 4 years after the closing of the investigation, 6 years, 5-6 years after the warrants were executed, they initiated an investigation into Mr. Comey. As part of the investigation, an FBI agent assigned to the director's advisory team was instructed, apparently with the concurrence of the Eastern District of Virginia, to review a Blu-ray disc that contained a full extraction of everything. So, FBI saying, yeah, just go through it all. Inexplicably, the government elected not to seek a new warrant for the 2025 search. So you're now doing a new search, right? This is a search. It's a fucking search. It's a search of documents you are not allowed to have, right? Over which there's a potential assertion of privilege. Even though the 2025 investigation was focused on a different person, was exploring a fundamentally different legal theory, and was predicated on an entirely different set of crimes. The court recognizes that a failure to seek a new warrant under these circumstances is highly unusual. The court also recognizes that seeking a new warrant under these circumstances would have required a fresh legal analysis and likely resulted in some delay. A delay the investigative team could not afford, given that the statute of limitations would expire in a mere 18 days. So why didn't they seek another warrant? Why didn't they seek it? Why did they skip that step? Why didn't they request a filtration team at the moment this was happening? Why didn't they interface with James Comey to see if there needed to be a privilege review of the collection of documents? Why? It's because the statute of limitations was coming up. They didn't do it because they needed to charge him right away, because Trump demanded it. If a new warrant had been sought out by the government and issued by the court, the Fourth Amendment would have required it to be narrowly tailored, authorizing access only to materials within a limited time frame and relevant to the new offenses under investigation. In addition, any new warrant would have imposed strict procedural safeguards to ensure privileged information was not reviewed by the prosecution team. As a result, the parameters of the 2025 search would inevitably have had a different and much narrower scope than Richmond warrants. Faced with this prospect, the government chose to unilaterally search materials that were seized 5 years earlier, seized in a separate and since closed investigation that were never reviewed to determine whether the seized information was responsive to the original warrants that were likely improperly held by the government for a prolonged period of time that included potentially privileged communication, did so without ever engaging the privileged holders, and did so without seeking any new judicial authority. Having decided to forge ahead under these highly unusual circumstances, the FBI agent conducting the September search of the disk containing information from Mr. Richmond's iPhone and iPad was specifically instructed to seize conversations between Richmond and Comey. There appears to be no precautions, none, to avoid the collection of privileged communication. The agent conducted the review and printed the relevant pages, which included multiple conversations involving Comey and Richmond. So now you're saying, okay, we are now going to search communications between Comey and his lawyer. No privilege protocol. Odd. The reviewing agent then transferred the disk and the relevant printed pages to a second FBI agent, here referred to as Agent 2. Sometime between September 12th and September 25th, Agent 2 reviewed the newly seized materials and, not surprisingly, identified communications involving Comey and Richmond as potentially privileged. Did you say anything then? The government presented the case to the grand jury on September 25th, 2025. The same day, prior to the grand jury presentment, Agent 2 alerted the lead case agent and an attorney with the FBI's Office of General Counsel that evidence obtained in the government's investigation of Comey may constitute attorney-client privileged or attorney-client confidential information. It is also possible that agents may have obtained evidence that constitutes attorney work product information. Agent 2 gave Agent 3 and the FBI attorney a limited overview of the privileged communication. So Agent 2 then talks to Agent 3, the lead case agent, and says, this is what the privileged communications say. A limited overview. Agent 3, rather than remove himself from the investigative team until the taint issue was resolved, proceeded into the grand jury undeterred and testified in support of the pending indictment. In fact, Agent 3 was the only witness to testify before the grand jury in support of the pending indictment. The government's decision to allow an agent who was exposed to potentially privileged information to testify before a grand jury is highly irregular and a radical departure from past DOJ practice. Only after the government had reviewed the materials seized pursuant to the 2019 and 2020 search warrants, only after FBI agents had personally identified potentially privileged materials, and only after the government obtained an indictment did it seek court approval of a filter protocol for materials that the FBI had already reviewed. For reasons that remain unclear, the government waited 31 days from September 12th, 2025, the date the FBI began reviewing the materials, and 18 days from September 25th, 2025, the date the FBI informed its Office of General Counsel about having been exposed to potentially privileged materials, before seeking court approval of a filter protocol. And then, right, so the court is now like, all right, let's look at what happened at the grand jury. Why are you looking at what happened at the grand jury? Well, we have a privilege issue here. The lead case agent who admittedly was exposed to privileged communications. We need to know what the fuck happened at the grand jury proceeding. Did they disclose to the grand jury any privileged communications, or did it affect the testimony that was given? The court has reviewed the grand jury transcript, the audio recording of the grand jury proceedings, as well as the exhibits presented to the grand jurors. Only one witness, Agent 3, testified before the grand jury. Only one prosecutor appeared on behalf of the government. And the fact that the court is reviewing the grand jury materials gives them occasion, the court that is, to look at other issues that happen behind closed doors in this ex-parte proceeding, behind, the secrecy, the secret veil of grand jury. The court is reviewing it in camera, that is to say, by itself, not in open court and not in front of the other party. The government's position is that the grand jury materials confirm the baselessness of the defendant's claim that privileged information may have been shared with the grand jury. So they're saying, hey, look at the grand jury stuff. We didn't share privileged information. While it is true that the undersigned did not immediately recognize any overtly privileged communications, it is equally true that the materials seized from the Richmond warrants were the cornerstone of the government's grand jury presentation. The government substantially relied on statements involving Comey and Richmond in support of the proposed indictment. Agent 3 referred to these statements in response to multiple questions from the prosecutor and from grand jurors, and did so shortly after being given a limited overview of privileged communications between the same party. So you referred to statements that were made between Comey and Richmond that were taken from the Richmond warrants, and you did so right after being told about all this privilege stuff. The government's position that the privileged materials were not directly shared with the grand jurors ignores the equally unacceptable prospect that privileged materials were used to shape the government's presentation and therefore improperly inform the grand jury's deliberations. And now, okay, you didn't directly share the AC statements, right? The AC communications. But what you did was taint the prosecutor who can shape his narrative after having been informed about the privileged communications. And that's unacceptable. Having been requested by the government to review the grand jury materials, the court has identified 2 statements by the prosecutor to the grand jurors that on their face appear to be fundamental misstatements of the law that could compromise the integrity of the grand jury process. Both statements by the prosecutor are in response to questions by grand jurors and are directly related to communications involving Comey. And they're blacking these out. First, after having advised the grand jurors that the prosecutor was their legal advisor, the prosecutor stated, blank. The prosecutor's statement, blank, is a fundamental and highly prejudicial misstatement of the law that suggests to the grand jury that Comey does not have a Fifth Amendment right not to testify. Uh-oh. So they violated the Fourth Amendment, and now they're undermining the Fifth Amendment. How? Because they're basically, what you'll see is they're suggesting that Comey's going to have to answer and explain what's going on here, presupposing that Comey would be forced to testify and that he would have to produce some affirmative evidence to, defend himself. That's burden shifting, right? Who's the burden? You guys know this. You guys fucking watch true crime shit all the time. You guys see this stuff. You watch legal stuff. You know it. Who's the burden of proof on in a criminal trial? What's the presumption of innocence for? It's because it's the government's duty. It's the government's responsibility. It's their burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the commission of a crime. That's their burden. The prosecutor's statement ignores foundational rule of law that if Mr. Comey exercised his right not to testify, the jury could draw no negative inference from that decision. Citing Supreme Court precedent, the prosecutor's statement that blank may have reasonably set an expectation in the minds of the grand jurors that rather than the government bear the burden to prove Comey's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, the burden shifts to Comey to explain away the government's evidence. In addition, the statement by the prosecutor was made in response to a challenging question from grand jurors. The context, so the grand jurors are challenging. They have challenging questions. They're not convinced. The context of which suggests that grand juries may have reasonably understood the prosecutor to mean that if she could not satisfactorily answer their questions, then Mr. Comey would blank answer these questions at trial. Second, the prosecutor told the grand jury that blank, that statement clearly suggested to the grand jury that they did not have to rely only on the record before them to determine probable cause, but could be assured the government had more evidence, perhaps better evidence that would be presented at trial. So on the one hand, the first statement is burden shifting and suggesting that the burden of proof is going to be on Comey to rebut the government's case. And the second statement is suggesting, hey, don't worry, there's better evidence waiting. Issues regarding the completeness of the grand jury transcript and audio recording and the manner in which the second indictment was presented to the grand jury. Finally, the record is well established that the grand jury was originally presented with a 3-count indictment. Signed by the prosecutor, the grand jury, however, rejected count 1 and found probable cause as to 2. We talked about this before. At some point, the prosecutor prepared and signed a second indictment that removed count 1. That's why it was so confusing. There's person 1 and person 3. Where's person 2? Right? You remember that weirdness? Because there was 2 fucking indictments. Not 1. There was 2. At the return of the indictment, right? So this is when the prosecutor goes back to a court to return the indictment. The government presented both the first and the second indictments to the magistrate judge. And the judge is like, wait, what the fuck? Why do I have 2? Right? So imagine you're the judge, chat. And this dickbag prosecutor walks up to you and says, Mr. Judge, here's 2 indictments. Why? Why are they? And there's overlap here. The first indictment indicated the grand jury failed to find probable cause as to any count. The second indictment indicated the grand jury found probable cause as to 2 counts. Both indictments were fully executed by the grand jury foreperson and the prosecutor. So the grand jury foreperson and the prosecutor signed both indictments. Presented with two facially inconsistent indictments, the magistrate judge questioned the grand jury foreperson and the prosecutor to unwind this procedural knot. The magistrate judge then accepted the return of the second signed indictment. The second indictment was a new indictment, and therefore the undersigned concluded, I concluded after reviewing the grand jury and transcript, the prosecutor would have presented the second indictment to the grand jury for consideration before it was returned to open court. It now appears that may not have happened. Wait, what? So, what is the court saying here? Well, they came in there with two indictments. And so, since this is a new indictment, right, you would have had to go back to the grand jury to get this true bill, this second indictment, signed off by the grand jury. That's what you would have had to do, right? Because you're not presenting the first indictment. You're presenting the second indictment. And the second indictment was not the first one they went to the grand jury for. So if they're following the rules, okay, you have a new indictment. Let's go back to the grand jury and get them to sign off on the second indictment. And that's what the undersigned, the judge here, said that's what they would have had to do. It now appears that may not have happened. On November 14th, the prosecutor filed a declaration with the court attempting to address the issue of whether the transcript of the grand jury proceedings filed with the court was the full and complete transcript. So separately, where they're like, are you giving us all the stuff for the grand jury? Like, the court's like, I need everything. You need to give me everything. And then the prosecutor, right? The prosecutor says, this is the timeline. I'm giving you the timeline. After the grand jury was left to deliberate on the first indictment at 4:28, right? So the grand jury at 4:28, they're leaving the grand jury to deliberate. This is according to Halligan, I think. This would probably be Halligan, or one of Halligan's minions. At 4:28 p.m., they leave the grand jury with the first indictment, deliberate. She says no further contact with the grand jury. Prosecutor further stated that approximately 6:40, now all of a sudden I'm notified by an assistant an AUSA, the grand jury returned a true bill on only 2 of the 3 counts presented by the government. So if the court is to read the prosecutor's declaration that suggests there was no contact between any government official and the grand jury after 4:28, then it begs the question of how the first assistant learned that the grand jury had refused to indict on one count, and how the first assistant knew which count had been rejected by the grand jury all before the indictment was returned in open court. The prosecutor, according to her declaration, then proceeded to the courtroom for the return of the indictment. The hearing on the return of the indictment began at approximately 6:47. Uh-oh, what's the problem? The problem, as always, with these MAGA bullshit artists, including the degenerate scum that they're putting in these positions of authority, linear fucking time. That's the problem. If the first time you're notified that the indictment returned a true bill on only 2 counts and they rejected the other count at 6:40, and at 6:47 you're going to return 2 indictments, who sees the problem? Does anyone see the problem there? How the fuck did you get a second indictment, present it to a grand jury, have them deliberate, sign it off in 7 fucking minutes? Did you actually do this? Or did you just type up the second indictment, have the grand jury foreperson sign it? Did you actually present it to the grand jury? You know, the indictment that was actually the operative document, the one that was the indictment that was actually returned, right? At 6:47, there before the magistrate judge with the second indictment. But Halligan only learns that the first indictment, according to her, returned a true bill at 6:40. And there's no other grand jury deliberations that were presented. So there's 2 options, and the court will tell you. The short time span between the moment the prosecutor learned that the grand jury rejected one count in the original indictment and the time the prosecutor appeared in court to return the second indictment could not have been sufficient to draft the second indictment, sign the second indictment, present it to the grand jury, provide legal instructions to the grand jury, and give them an opportunity to deliberate and render a decision on the new indictment. If the prosecutor is mistaken about the time she received notification of the grand jury's vote on the original indictment, and this procedure did take place, then the transcript and audio recording provided to the court are incomplete. If this procedure did not take place, then the court is in uncharted legal territory in that the indictment returned in open court was not the same charging document presented to and deliberated by the grand jury. So there's two answers, and they're both fucking horrible for the government, and they're both just ridiculous. Either the government is withholding materials about a grand jury proceeding because there was a process that took place that they haven't handed over yet. That is, they actually did go to the grand jury to present this true bill, in which case, why haven't you handed that over to the court? And Halligan is just like an idiot who's wrong about the timeline. Or they never went to the grand jury with the actual second indictment, and it's a fucking forgery. It's not an actual indictment that was ruled upon, that was actually considered by the grand jury. You never had this indictment signed off. Remember, 2 indictments. So those are your 2 options. Did you do a second presentment to the grand jury? If you did, where are those records? Why haven't you produced that to the court? If you didn't, why did you present an indictment in open court that was never actually considered by the grand jury? Pick your poison. You get it? To secure the disclosure of grand jury materials under this exception, a defendant must show that a ground may exist to dismiss the indictment because of a matter that occurred before the grand jury. The government argues that the defense has failed to meet its heavy burden to satisfy this standard, even assuming there was a Fourth Amendment violation, or that privileged information was compromised. The most severe remedy would be exclusion of evidence, which I think is a remedy that might be on offer if they don't dismiss the indictment. By the way, keep in mind, there's at least 3 other motions to dismiss pending. They haven't filed a motion to dismiss on this shit because that's the whole purpose of this, right? Like, they're trying to get the grand jury materials, the defense is, so they can draft a motion to dismiss based on grand jury misconduct. Indeed, the validity of indictment is not affected by the character of the evidence considered. Courts have likewise held that grand jury's consideration of evidence obtained in a violation of attorney-client privilege on its own does not count for dismissal. So it's a high bar, right? However, the government's claim that this is at worst a conventional Fourth Amendment violation, inexcusable slippage of privileged communications, is unpersuasive, particularly considering the central role this information played in the government's grand jury presentation. It is well established that courts may, and indeed on occasion must, use their supervisory authority to safeguard the integrity of the grand jury process. The Supreme Court has recognized that a district court may use its supervisory power to dismiss an indictment because of misconduct before the grand jury. The Supreme Court has also recognized that this supervisory power of federal district court should be used to implement remedy for violation of recognized rights. Accordingly, when prosecutorial misconduct before the grand jury prejudices a defendant and threatens the defendant's fundamental fairness in the criminal process, a district court may exercise its authority to dismiss the indictment. High standard. These are the findings by the court. And if you've been paying attention so far in this little synopsis, you should know what's coming, right? Fourth Amendment violations with respect to the warrant. Now, there could be a standing issue here, which I think is interesting. I'm not sure. Can Comey raise particularity concerns applicable to the warrants executed as to Richmond? Interesting question. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. Not sure what the answer is to that. Traditionally, right, like, let's say that there's an illegal warrant or an unparticularized warrant as against your neighbor, right? As against your neighbor, and you had stashed evidence of your crime in the neighbor's house, and the government comes in and searches your neighbor's house illegally and finds the evidence about you with the illegal search. There's a threshold standing question, which is when the government comes and says, hey, we found this evidence, dude, of you like killing someone. Yeah, we did an illegal warrant, but we found it and it's with you. And you start to raise your hand like, but that wasn't done legally. There's precedent about whether or not you could even raise that claim because it's not your Fourth Amendment that was violated. So you can't raise a claim as to an unreasonable search or seizure pertaining to a search that didn't like affect you or something, or that wasn't tailored to your shit. That the violation of the Fourth Amendment, that belongs to, I guess, Richmond. I'm not refreshed on that precedent. If it if clients are able to raise those kinds of things as with respect to their attorneys, so that's something I'll try to do some research on it and see what the dealio is there. So, but that's an interesting question. But more to the point, like clear Fourth Amendment violations, like obvious Fourth Amendment violations, in that the warrants have a reasonable basis for a challenge as to whether they were conducted according to the Fourth Amendment, whether they exceeded the scope of the actual court orders, that is the warrants. You didn't actually, so there's a kind of a constitutional issue with the warrants, Fourth Amendment. There is a judicial order non-compliance with the actual warrant issue that's not just constitutional. It's about it's tailored to what the court actually required. There's questions about whether or not you even had the authority to search these materials in 2025 at all. Right? Were you allowed to hold on to this shit? So that's this is, right. So this is the search and seizure in 2019, 2020. That's 1 and 2. This is the search in 2025. That's why it's a third one, right? Fourth, the facts establish a reasonable basis for the defense to challenge whether the government's 2025 seizure of the materials included information beyond the scope of the original warrants. So there's the search for 2025. There's the seizure for 2025. Fifth, these are both seizures, I believe, or execution, how it was conducted, and then the seizure for 2019, 2020. And these are both the search and the seizure for 2025. Fifth, violations of the Fourth Amendment court orders establish a reasonable basis to question whether the government's conduct was willful or in reckless disregard of the law. Six, facts provide a reasonable basis for the defense to show they were prejudiced by the government's use of the Richmond materials in the grand jury, particularly if the government's conduct was reckless or willful, given the centrality of these materials to the government's presentation. Seventh, the facts establish a reasonable basis for the defense to challenge whether the government took sufficient steps to avoid the collection and review of privilege. So there's a privilege thing. Eighth, whether the privileged information was used directly or indirectly by the government to prepare and present its grand jury presentation, particularly troublesome because the government's sole witness was exposed to privilege right before he testified. Ninth, the nature and circumstances of surrounding the disclosure of the potential of privileged information establish a reasonable basis to question whether the government's conduct was willful or in reckless disregard of the law. This is because Agent 3, after being exposed to privileged information, chose to testify rather than separate himself. So this gets to the willfulness. 10th, as discussed in Section 4 above, the prosecutor made statements that could reasonably form the basis for the defense to challenge whether the grand jury proceedings were infected with constitutional error. 11th, the grand jury transcript and recording likely do not reflect the full proceedings, although it is clear that a second indictment was prepared and presented to the grand jury. The transcript and audio recording of the proceeding do not reflect any further communications after the grand jury began deliberating on the first indictment. That's the kind of... So there's a bunch of issues. There's Fourth Amendment issues. There's Fifth Amendment issues. There's privilege issues to different searches, different seizures. Why was Richmond searched in 2019? He was searched for the potential that he leaked national defense information and stole government property. That's the basis of the search in 2019, 2020. Collectively, the facts set forth herein and particularized findings of the court establish that grounds may exist to dismiss the indictment. The court need not determine now whether any facts herein have been proven or whether there is merit to any motion yet to be filed. That task may lie ahead. Rather, the court is finding that the government's action in this case, whether purposeful, reckless, or negligent, raised genuine issues of misconduct or inextricably linked to the government's grand jury presentation and deserve to be fully explored by the defense. And concludes that you got to hand it over. So, all that is a way for me to say the following. There's some chicanery at foot. There's some fuckery. Something smells awful. There are constitutional violations here, clear as day. There are due process issues, clear as day. Privilege issues, clear as day. Fuckery at the grand jury. They're either not being candid with the court, or they presented a nonsense document that was never signed off by the grand jury with the procedures that were required. And all of this, even if it's not dismissed on this basis, which it might not be, it's a high standard, speaks to potential exclusion. That is, perhaps you'll be able to exclude some of this evidence. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But now you know what's going on here. And this is all separate from the at least 3 other motions to dismiss that Comey has pending. This case sucks. This case stinks. And it is one of the most corrupt actions from the corrupt DOJ under Trump. He defecated through a sunroof. You think that's bad? This chicanery? That's the recap. Currently, there's a stay, and the government will be briefing before the district court. Separately, Letitia James is filing to dismiss her case, but we're not going to take a look at that today. It's too much law for y'all. Overloaded your brains, your big brains. Last thing. Not our Jimmy. Couldn't be Jimmy. Robbing them blind. And he gets to be a lawyer. I should have stopped him when I had the chance. And you have to stop. Mm-hmm. Okay. Last thing before I send you off. Send you off to your little places, and you rest your little head for the little evening. Let's look at some cope from Ben.
President of the United States for months now. Finally, over the weekend, the president retaliated. We will get into that. Plus, we'll talk about the affordability crisis. What can be done? Why are Democrats continuing to put pressure on Republicans to spend even more on Obamacare? How can we fix it? First, this is your last chance to win my personal lifetime membership. One winner will get all access for the rest of their life. Every benefit we offer now, everything we build next, yours for life. Here's how to enter. Download the free Daily Wire Plus app on iOS or Android and tap follow right under my face. That is your entry. And if you don't want to gamble on winning my personal membership, you can still claim one of...
No live and learn today. We don't have a Hutch with us, but we're probably going to schedule it for Thursday, maybe later.
The original 10,000 yourself. Fewer than 1,500 remain. Once those are claimed, it is over. Go to dailywire.com/lifetime to get all the details or to secure your place in Daily Wire history.
Nopers.
Right well, over the weekend, the long simmering feud between Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and the President of the United States finally...
Long simmering feud. Look at how Shapiro is presenting it. You can tell Shapiro feels he's on the back foot. And listen, as between Shapiro and Fuentes, what a fucking choice on offer. But obviously, I despise Fuentes. But I also despise Shapiro. But look at how he's presenting it. He knows he's on the back foot. So he's like, long simmer. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been undermining Trump this whole time. That's how he's going to try to present it to you. How he's going to try to present it to you is Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's the one who's been attacking Trump this whole time. And finally, Trump is going to retaliate against Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's his effort to try to paint the narrative that the people who are really pushing forward this feud is Marjorie herself as opposed to Trump. Because what do they disagree on? What does Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump disagree on? On the fucking Epstein files. That's what they disagree on. I guess until recently. What else? Because she went on the fucking View? Thank you so much for the membership. Appreciate your support, guys. So just look at that framing here.
boiled over. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been attempting to run essentially her own knockoff version, her Temu version of MAGA. She's been out.
So the framing here is Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to, angle herself and needle Trump. Someone says she did say that he isn't doing enough to make prices cheaper. After Trump said there's no such thing as a price issue. And that like everyone who's complaining about prices is a loser. And I don't even know what was the direct quote. What was the direct quote from Marjorie Taylor Greene there? But okay, even if I grant, even if she said it like that, like he's not doing enough for prices, look at how Ben construes that, right? Even if that is what he said, all right? And I'll grant that is what he said, or she said. Ben is like, she's undermining him. She's undermining him on prices, assuming that that's his position. What has Ben been doing on tariffs? Ben is saying that Trump is not doing enough for prices because he's implementing tariffs, because Ben has been against the tariffs this whole time. So to the extent that Marjorie Taylor Greene is criticizing Trump by talking about prices, if that is what he's doing, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. To the extent that Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing that, she's doing no more or less than what Ben is doing on tariffs and on a couple other issues where he has come out forcefully against the administration on one of its marquee policies, namely tariffs. Oh, yeah, disagreeing. No, the Georgia Republican said, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. So acknowledging like empirical reality, this is also something that Ben Shapiro would say, right? So what is the basis to think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is waging a war against Trump in a way that Shapiro is not? That, I think, so it's a good thing to raise that she's like acknowledging that stuff, whatever. And certainly there's this, thank you so much for membership. Appreciate you very much. There's a separation on potentially Israel and stuff. But other than that, just Epstein. Elix Sniz.
Retailing it to The View. She's been out retailing it to CNN and MS.
She's retailing this repackaged reform, painting her, and I hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I just view this as so fucking garbage. This framing. What you're trying to do here is you're trying to portray Trump as he's just defending himself, guys. Because Ben hates Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because guess what? Marjorie Taylor Greene is almost certainly an anti-Semitic person. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a bad person. And you know what? I probably agree more on policy with Shapiro on, at least in terms of, I don't know, some of the populist bullshit than I do Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's a fucking low bar, given the insanity of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am no fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene. What I can't stand is this pretense that we have to treat Trump as a child at every step of the way, and he's the victim, always the victim. Trump, he's being ruthlessly attacked. She went on The View. Give me a break, Ben. This is garbage shit. After you sold us and you sold Trump to the whole world, it's all the time with these sycophants. Nothing is ever Trump's fault, ever, except for the tariffs, I guess.
NBC. She's become the hot new thing in the legacy media. You know, the Jewish space lady. That lady is the hot new thing with regard to legacy media. They now have strange new respect for Marjorie Taylor Greene because she has decided that she is going to attack Trump full time.
So now you're doing this guilt by association thing where the legacy media now is like paying attention to, significant figures and interviewing them. And by the way, let's be honest here. I think you're fully within your rights to criticize people for platforming these losers, these idiots. But the way she's presenting it is the way that Trump is presenting it. He is playing a game. This is a play. He's very conscious of this. He's trying to say she's captured. She's captured by the old guard establishment media. She's captured by them. Not me, though. Not me. Not Trump, who pays incredible amounts of attention and deference to these media organizations, even though he's constantly attacking them. He cares a lot about them.
We've been covering it on the show. Well, the president finally noticed, and President Trump
finally noticed, right? Trump finally noticed what was obvious to everyone, which was that Marjorie Taylor Greene was betraying Trump. And how was she betraying Trump? Marjorie Taylor Greene, who what? When has she ever forcefully criticized Trump? She's always been giving basically every deference to Trump, even on the Epstein issue itself. So how he paints it is, finally, Trump noticed what everyone else is noticing, is she's stabbing him in the back, when that's not at all substantiated. She has been a loyal MAGA person. The digression, this kind of breakup has nothing to do with the fucking View, right? If you're buying this narrative from Shapiro, you're an idiot. Shapiro has pointed to arguably true things about Marjorie Taylor Greene's ambitions, which, let's be honest, someone has to have ambitions for the party. I don't agree with Marjorie's ambitions for the post-Trump era. They're politicians. Don't be naive. Ted Cruz just was signaling he's going to run for president. So all these fucking people are ambitious egomaniacs, including and especially Marjorie Taylor Greene. But let's not pretend that that's out of pocket. But if you believe, Ben Shapiro, for 1 second, that that's why Trump is going after her, no. Trump is going after her for the Epstein files. That's why. And everyone knows it. It's not because she went on The View.
Out a statement over the weekend slamming Marjorie Taylor Greene quite properly for trying to undermine his actual administration. He said on Truth Social, lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Brown, green grass turns brown when it begins to rot, betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left. This is Saturday morning. This is following Marjorie Taylor Greene's repeated attacks on President Trump, particularly over Jeffrey Epstein. Back on Friday, Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested on CBS that actually the president of the United States was attempting to protect.
The American people deserve to see transparency from their government. Rich, powerful people should not be protected. That is completely wrong. And it's a message to victims everywhere, victims of human trafficking and children who are trapped in terrible situations, that the government will not protect the predators, that we will work hard to protect the victims.
That's the best clip he had. That's the best clip that Ben had of Marjorie Taylor Greene implying that Trump is protecting pedophiles. That's the best clip he had. He was desperate to find something where he can say Marjorie Taylor Greene is implying that Trump is a PDF protector. And that's the best he had. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I don't know, the basic premise of these QAnon batshit people for the entire time, which is Trump is having this internal fight with the government and the swamp. None of this is inconsistent with their worldview. Sound like Andrew Wilson, their worldview. This is not a reference in saying Trump is protecting PDFs. That's not what she's saying here. But Ben has to desperately attempt to draw that connection there and say that's what Marjorie was implying by that statement. No, this has been, guys, this has been standard populist right-wing talking points ever since the Epstein issue came to prominence. Is the government is filled with insiders who are undermining Trump and preventing the corruption, and Trump is going to unseat those people, and he's going to get rid of the swamp, that there are enemies from within that need to be identified and exposed. I'm just gonna show you again how dishonest this is.
Attempting to protect Epstein.
This is how Ben is portraying this.
This is following Marjorie Taylor Greene's repeated attacks on President Trump, particularly over Jeffrey Epstein. Back on Friday, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Attacks. That was an attack on Trump, what she just did. So what is Shapiro saying? Well, if you demand the release of the Epstein files, a promise that Trump and his surrogates in fact made, that is an attack on Trump, when it was Trump's promise in the first fucking place. Do you understand the level of mental gymnastics? And why is he doing this? Why is he making this implausible case that couldn't possibly convince anyone who has a modicum of IQ, whatever that is, an average IQ. He's doing it to try to take advantage of this divide and paint Marjorie Taylor Greene as the initial traitor. When what's the issue here? The issue is Trump doesn't want the files released. That's why he's fighting Marjorie Taylor Greene. But Ben sees an opportunity to put a division here and to really press that advantage. But doing so, I think, entails being deceitful with his audience and making these preposterous leaps that what Marjorie Taylor Greene best understood there is she's doing the lib kind of Epstein posting that Kyle Kalinske does. That's the impression that he wants to give to his audience, dishonestly. You can't believe a word this guy says. Similar with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Frankly, these people deserve each other. They are both reprehensible. All of these motherfuckers. They all deserve each other. They are lying scum. And you see it how they attack the left, and you see it how they attack each other. This civil war is the best, so-called civil war, is the best iteration of it. You can see what they're really like. And what they're really like is fence sitters on the one side for neo-Nazis and Fuentes Groypers. They don't give a shit. Opportunists and liars.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the entire Republican Party, when she turned left. This is Saturday morning.
Turned left. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Give me a break. Give me a break. Them turning left, this is no more or less than what you did, Ben. If you're considering left the kind of populist rhetoric that Marjorie Taylor Greene is engaging in, that's an indictment of Trump as much as it is as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Where do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene comes from? Dipshit. It's what you did. It's what you and everyone else who made this Faustian deal with Trump brought forth. And now, where are all the people complaining about anti-Semitism and Mamdani? Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, this is a beast of your own creation. You deserve every second of this. What you have wrought on our country is disgraceful. And now, to try to be the king of the cinders in the shit-stained White House that you're going to leave this country behind, and to make the most of whatever is going to be left of this movement, what you're doing is now lying because you have no moral bone in your body whatsoever. Left-wing Marjorie Taylor Greene. It doesn't even pass the smell test. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an unhinged right-winger. I love this, by the way. They create a monster, a Republican monster of their own creation, bred on lies and Republican fear-mongering and hate, and they call it left-wing. Yeah, look at her voting record. Look at her voting record. You're going to call her left? This guy is such a piece of shit. I have zero sympathy for him whatsoever. This guy is just as responsible as anyone else among this Trump crowd for the state of our country and the corruption. He doesn't say a word about the untold corruption that we're seeing from the DOJ. Why? Because none of this whatsoever is about honestly communicating with his audience. None of it. He is play acting for constituencies within a coalition. And those constituencies include the constituency of one in the White House, and signaling for the purpose of further conducting this internal war to get out ahead. Bad guy. Liar.
This is following Marjorie Taylor Greene's repeated attacks on President Trump, particularly over Jeffrey Epstein. Back on Friday, Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested on CBS.
She suggested that Trump is protecting PDFs. Like Kyle Kalinske is, right? That's how he's trying to portray it. Despicable loser.
That actually the president of the United States was attempting to protect.
The American people deserve to see transparency from their government. Rich, powerful people should not be protected. That is completely wrong. And it's a message to victims everywhere, victims of human trafficking and children who are trapped in terrible situations, that the government will not protect the predators, that we will work hard to protect the victims.
Now, again, it is ridiculous to suggest the president of the United States is trying to protect predators. And finally,
you see that equivocation right there, right? He must know that in the MAGA movement, the notion of a swamp and of a government that's beyond Trump's reach, and Trump is being lied to by his advisors, that is so common and generic, a structural feature of the Trump presidencies, for explaining his failures, for explaining inconsistencies and things. He knows that when right-wingers talk about the government, it is not necessarily coextensive with Trump. He knows that. He knows it. He is intentionally lying to you. Now, after Trump attacked Marjorie, after Trump initiated it, yeah, Marjorie's like, I don't understand what's happening. Then I can understand it. But that's not what you just showed. What he just showed you. That's not what we just saw. We didn't see that just then. He was scouring, I'm sure, or his researchers, for a clip that he could say, oh, Marjorie's the real traitor to MAGA.
The president of the United States had enough. This line, of course, has been retailed by a wide variety of people who are supposedly allies of President Trump, who have turned on President Trump using the Epstein files as a way of getting at him. We'll get to that in a moment, because MTG is part of a broader kind of splinter effort inside MAGA to take control of MAGA, because they're angry at the president's policy decisions, and now they've decided to use Epstein as a wedge. And so the president withdrew his support for Marjorie Taylor Greene on Truth Social, suggested that he might, in fact, back a primary opponent to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Again, she would only be famous for her dumb Facebook post if it had not been for the president of the United States touting her, treating her as an ally, building her up. And then, of course, she got very angry because she wanted to run.
And he's appealing to Trump's inner circle, who he thinks might watch this. He has connections with Trump, and he's saying, Trump, you were so magnanimous. You were so nice to her. She's nothing, and she's trying to undermine you, and she's so ungrateful. It's an obvious attempt at manipulation. So clearly. He's not trying to tell you, the audience, the truth. This is a manufactured, curated attack for the purpose of rallying the troops within the inside of the White House and making Marjorie Taylor Greene an enemy. Now, she deserves to be an enemy, political enemy of the American people. And if the Republican Party had any sense of it, she would have been cast out years ago, never even included. But you said it yourself, Ben. Who brought her into the fold? It was Trump. It was you. Because you let this unhinged egomaniac, who can be charmed by basically anyone, you let this unhinged loser warp your loyalty and dedication to the Constitution of the United States. Because you felt it was worth it to have a degenerate scumfuck installed in the Oval Office.
Run for Senate in Georgia, and he pointed out to her she was going to lose by 20 to John Ossoff if she ran for Senate in Georgia. This, of course, ticked her off. So President Trump finally lost it at her on Truth Social.
Finally lost it. In the way, again, just the framing here, so dishonest, as though Marjorie Taylor Greene is constantly attacking Trump as opposed to glazing Trump. It's the direct opposite of what has been happening.
I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. He said, all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. He said, it seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance. Unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore. With 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. He then added, I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primary Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing the View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was excited about this because she's attempting, again, to run an anti-Trump campaign inside the
She's excited about it.
Republican Party. And so she responded by saying, President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. Always playing the victim, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I haven't called him at all, but I did send these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge, the Epstein files. And of course, he's coming hard after me.
That is true. That is completely true. Name an area of policy disagreement other than the Epstein files, which would be the basis of Trump's ire, especially given the fact that we have the reporting and confirmation from the White House that they were lobbying these people and they weren't budging. So what she's saying here is true, and we all know it. He's not going after her because she's trying to steal MAGA. It's because of Epstein. But the way you try to sell it is different than the way it is, and you know that.
An example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's votes to release the Epstein files. It's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, that he actually goes to this level. But really, most Americans wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men and women of America who are fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes, are going broke trying to feed their families, and are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I've supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, says Marjorie Taylor Greene, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when almost all other Republicans turned their back and denounced him. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship
I'm not debating, man.
God. Jesus is my savior, and I serve my district GA14 and the American people. I remain the same today as I've always been, and I will continue to pray this administration will be successful because the American people desperately deserve what they voted for. For me, I remain America first and America only. And then she included a couple of texts that she sent to the president about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is not true. What she is saying here, the president is trying to cover up the Epstein files. The president made absolutely clear, actually, on Sunday, that that was not the case. He put out a truth.
And Ben can't even look at the camera in the eye. He says, it's so obviously not true that Trump is trying to cover up the Epstein files. Look at this Truth Social he made after it was clear they had the votes. Obviously, he's not trying to cover it up, right? Because he said so. This guy, in many ways, is worse than Trump. Because he's knowing. He is knowingly doing this pact with Trump. He knows. He's a trained lawyer. There is no excuse. Absolutely none. Zero. And he has the gall to get on his show and say, Trump's not trying to not disclose the Epstein files because he said it on a Sunday after it was a fait accompli and the discharge petition passed and it was clear that even more Republicans were going to vote for it in the hundreds. Not true at all. Not true at all, because he said so on Sunday after the thing happened in an obvious attempt to save face.
Social, in which he said, as I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media.
That's a lie. He didn't say that on Air Force One. So even in the statement, there's a lie. Let's see. Is Ben going to fact check Trump on his clear lie? I mean, on Friday, they're still lobbying. There are reports that are still lobbying on Sunday in a desperate attempt to get this vote not to pass. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe Ben will say, now, this isn't strictly speaking true, but he's come around. You think that's going to happen?
House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory on the Democrat shutdown. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein, are looking at various Democrat operatives, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, etc., and their relationship to Epstein. And the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they're legally entitled to. I don't care.
Whatever they're legally entitled to.
All I do care about is that Republicans get back on point, which is the economy, affordability, where we are winning big, our victory on reducing inflation from the highest levels in history to practically nothing, bringing down prices for the American people, delivering historic tax cuts, gaining trillions of dollars of investment into America, a record, the rebuilding of our military, securing our border, supporting criminal illegal aliens, etc., etc., etc. Let's start talking about the Republican Party's record-setting achievements, said the president on Truth Social, and not fall into the Epstein trap, which is actually a curse on the Democrats and not us. Make America great again. Okay, so again, Marjorie Taylor Greene kept saying over and over that it was all about the Epstein files. So here she was over the weekend talking with CNN's Dana Bash.
That's it, Ben? You're just going to read the tweet like a dancing monkey? You're just going to do your little symbols? That's your analysis, bro? Yeah, she's claiming it's all about the Epstein files. But look at this Truth Social. How do you not have the most disgust for these malicious actors And I said it once, I'll say it again. They deserve each other. They really do deserve each other. You know me. I hope that the Reupers do not win in this battle to wrest the soul of the Republican Party. But this motherfucker, that's him truth telling. He knows better. He knows this is a fucking post hoc little message that Trump put out after it was already a done deal. He knows that Trump could release all these documents whenever he wanted. And so this support is false. Just it's so apparent who's buying this.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking.
Okay, and then
Yes. That is what it's come down to based on reporting. The only person who says it's not come down to that is Trump on Sunday. But of course, Trump before that was poking because of the Epstein stuff. That is why. And there's no other explanation as to why Trump would go after Marjorie Taylor Greene in this moment. What, because she went on The View? Because she said something about prices? Which you have said, Ben?
and she went on in the same interview to slam President Trump for calling her a traitor, even though, again, she has spent the last several months just beating up on President Trump over and over.
No, she hasn't. Has he produced one clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene doing that? Over and over and over and over. Marjorie has been going over in the summer, over and over and over, going after Trump. Liar.
Over.
The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely...
And she's just saying, it's hurtful that he called me a traitor. I can't believe she said it was hurtful that the entire epicenter of the political movement for which she has been a firebrand for her entire career called her a traitor. Now, she's a piece of shit. I hate her. But you're like, she has the gall to express regret that she was called a traitor.
Untrue is he called me a traitor, and that is so...
Does she say Trump is a piece of shit? He just said, it's hurtful. It's not true that I'm a traitor. I'm not a traitor. And Shapiro's like, I can't believe she said she's not a traitor when Trump called her a traitor because of the Epstein files. Has Shapiro even gave a plausible account for why Trump would be this pissed off? And why, let me think about it. Who did he go after right before Marjorie Taylor Greene? Thomas Massie. And what did Thomas Massie do again? And Ben wants you to believe. By the way, who's watching this? Who the hell's watching this? If this is what they have on offer against the Groypers, they're going to lose. They are going to lose. Because no one can believe this shit. There's a connection between who Trump was attacking and what Trump was doing and what the reports were and what was the vote that just happened.
Extremely wrong, and those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
Absolutely true.
Okay, so again, the new line that's being retailed by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene is that criticism of her puts her life in danger.
We have a track record of Trump's statements causing credible threats of violence.
Okay, the president of the United States disagrees.
Okay. You going to deal with that, Ben?
Here's the president responding to that particular idea.
And of course, we agree with Trump all the time now, and we don't scrutinize or criticize anything he says.
Her life could be in danger because of the rhetoric.
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
All right, coming up, more on Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, Steve Bannon, the collective of people who are attempting to hijack President Trump's MAGA movement first. And
that's how he sells it. Is they're hijackers. They're hijackers. Well, what are you, Ben? You're not a hijacker? You're the true Trump patriot? You're the true believer? The loyal Ben Shapiro? You're not trying to obviously wrest control of the direction of the Republican Party? You're outright saying it. You're outright saying it. You're engaged in this war on the same terms. What I mean to say is, on the same terms of trying to take control of the party. And no one's saying that that's inherently wrong. But for you to say that that's why Trump is going after Marjorie Taylor Greene is so preposterous and deceitful, and you know it.
The time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can say I've never seen an offer like this from them before. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited safety net. What really out all compare Epstein files in a series has a different definition. Green is that President Trump has basically betrayed MAGA because of. Okay,
she didn't say this.
This is the idea from Marjorie Taylor Greene is that President Trump has basically betrayed MAGA because of Epstein.
Basically doing a lot of work here. She'd never said that.
But also has betrayed MAGA because she has a different definition of MAGA. And this brings
us. And what's your definition of MAGA here, Ben?
To what's actually going on under the surface here. Marjorie Taylor Greene started caring about the Epstein files in a serious way with regard to President Trump about the time that she got angry at President Trump's foreign policy with regard to the Middle East. That seems to be the pattern here. She, Thomas Massey, and a wide variety of commentators seem to get very exercised about President Trump and the Epstein files by claiming that President Trump is in fact enthralled to Israel and that what is happening with the Epstein files, that it's some sort of Mossad agency operation.
So you are now linking the issues. So to be aware, so you guys are aware, not that Fuentes isn't linking them either. Just to be clear, Fuentes is also doing this, but Ben is also doing it. He is saying that there's a linkage here. That Massey and them, they only really started caring about Epstein stuff with respect to the disagreements on Israel. And so this little spat, right? How do you deal with the traitors in MAGA, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are using this disingenuously, this issue of Epstein? You support Israel because their opposition, their treason is ideologically premised on opposition to Israel. You see how that works? They don't actually care about the Epstein files. I don't know their sincerity, but that's what Ben's point is. They don't actually care about the Epstein files. Their treason, that's what he's supporting, what Trump is saying, is premised on opposition to Israel. That's the treason. What's the fundamental issue? So says Ben. Their opposition to Israel.
And what made them mad is that President Trump actually is not anti-Israel the same way that they are. And this is met with mainstream media approval. Of course, I mean, listen, Marjorie Taylor Greene is making pretty clear what she thinks is happening here. Here she was blaming Israel for Jeffrey Epstein, again, without any evidence. And if there's evidence, present it. I'm all in favor of all Jeffrey Epstein files being released, all of it. The reason I think...
So then why is Trump against it?
The president didn't want all of that released is because he was tired of talking about it and because his own FBI had told him there was no there there.
That's why. That's why, Ben? So Ben says, he contradicts himself just then, right? Because he starts off by saying, look, Trump never didn't want to release the Epstein files. He said on Sunday. And now he acknowledges the reality. Did you remember you just said that that wasn't what was motivating, that Marjorie Taylor Greene was lying about it just moments ago? So now he's taking the position that, well, okay, Trump, the only reason he didn't want to do the Epstein files is he was tired of talking about it, and his DOJ people, they already said that there's no there. That's why he's frantically getting Lauren Boebert, hauling her into the Situation Room to lean on her. That's why he's frantically calling it an Obama-created hoax, frantically trying to have some distraction, going to the courts to try to blame them on some bullshit, is because, he just doesn't want everyone to be missing all of his wonderful accomplishments. He didn't want people distracted. If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. That's why Ben doesn't even believe that shit. No one does. I don't know what will be there. I don't know if it'll be the full files. I don't know if it's embarrassing. I don't know if you blew a dude. I don't know if you did anything illegal. I'm not sure. But the notion that this is all because Trump is like, just doesn't want distractions. Give me a break. And it's an implicit, tacit admission that if Trump truly believed there's no there, why is he ordering investigations into Democrats? Do you realize what you just did, Ben? You just conceded that Trump is purposely doing sham investigations against his political rivals for something that he believes to be totally empty and rudderless. Every single lie and contradiction, the minute, you don't even need to look far. It is in your face. The malevolence of his lies are so apparent if you just scratch the surface of them.
But I'm all in favor of more transparency in Epstein files. And anybody who was involved, if in fact there was, as the sort of most ridiculous suppositions, evidence-free suppositions suggest, some sort of intelligence agency operation to underage people in order to blackmail people, which is the theory here. If that's true, whoever engaged in it is evil. Full stop. Bar none. That's just basic morality. But again, the evidence-free nature of this thing is the reason why it is being trafficked by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business.
That's true. Now, it doesn't mean that there's some other implication here, but that is true.
Deals.
That is not disputed by anybody.
We saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them. Also business deals.
That's true.
That involved the Israeli government.
That's true.
And seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel?
Didn't you just say, Ben, that that's what you want to find out as well? I think people go too far in terms of them asserting that it's Israel. I don't think that Israel is engaged in the kind of sex trafficking ring that is kind of been the main narrative among the conspiratorial types. But that clip is like no more or less than what's either not disputed by anybody, and a question that Ben had just said he wanted answered as well. Oh, but when Marjorie Taylor Greene asked the question, it's a necessary implication. Now, you could say that because she has a history, I think, of anti-Semitic comments. And, arguably, I guess she's against Israel. What I mean to say is like that could be maybe the connection that's leading to a feeling that even asking it is anti-Semitic or something or out of bounds.
Okay, so again, she's just putting that out there. No evidence whatsoever because she doesn't like.
She's putting what out there? The connection to Ehud Barak? That's not disputed, bro. That's not disputed.
Israel, and also because she has some peculiar views, shall we say, about Jews. She, of course, believes that the United States is enthralled to the Israelis, particularly President Trump. She thinks that President Trump is somehow controlled by the Israelis. Here she was on Steve Bannon's show. Steve Bannon, of course, is on the same side of this argument because he, too, would like to seize control of the MAGA movement. There is a thing that is happening in the Republican Party, an assumption that President Trump is no longer president and no longer the head of MAGA. And now there ought to be a fight over the pieces of MAGA. That basically, the ship is rudderless, and somebody is going to grab control. Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks she is that person. Here she is suggesting that the president of the United States is somehow being manipulated by the Israelis.
6 months in, Steve, and here we are, turning back on the campaign promises, and we bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel.
Does anybody dispute that? Does anybody dispute that? Israel was lobbying Trump for it. They don't even keep it a secret. That's not disputed. We bombed Fordo and these nuclear sites. Yes. In conjunction and at the request of Israel. That's not up for debate. The Israelis themselves admit it. Now, you might say I don't agree with that decision. I think it was a bad decision. You might say ultimately Trump admitted that he made the decision. The question isn't did Trump make the decision? It's why did Trump make the decision? That's the question. That's the question. Now, it might still be the right policy to do. Obviously, Trump was the person ultimately that signed off on it. We're not trying to assert this kind of like Zog, garbage, anti-Semitic anything. I don't buy that. But if you believe that, wait, Trump just, he was doing this not at the request of the Israelis, when we have reporting of the Israelis begging and pressuring for months, asking, requesting for this strike to take place. I mean, at this point, even just saying undisputed facts, he's going to say are conspiracy theories. I'm going to do a couple more minutes because I got to go.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a strange supposition, given the fact that, again, Israel was doing the vast majority of the bombing. And it's always funny. All the people who suggest that the president of the United
What's the contradiction? What's the contradiction between Israel doing the vast majority of bombing and you know that these like deep penetrating bombs are the things that Israel doesn't have? What's the contradiction between Israel doing the majority of bombing in Iran and America doing the bombing run for Israel? If anything, the fact that Israel is engaged in greater numbers in Iran and engaged in this bombing mission lends more credence that they're involved in the motivation of the bombing run in the first place by Americans. That doesn't hurt the case that the bombing was done at the request of Israel. It helps the case that the bombing was done at the request of Israel. You understand that, right? The fact that Israel is engaged in these attacks against Iran, of a war against Iran, and that America comes in to do these, awe and thunder, whatever the phrase is, bombing runs, and then quickly says, oh, no, let's stop the war right now. That helps the case that we did so at the request of Israel. Doesn't hurt it. You dispute Marjorie Taylor Greene's obvious implication that Israel dragged the U.S. into the bombing. But hang on here. Hang on here. This is bombing that Israel has requested from like every single president in the past, like, I don't know, 3-4 administrations, right? This is the kind of bombing they wanted to do, or I don't know, since those facilities were operational. I don't know exactly when that is, but at least the last 3 presidents, right? Biden, Obama, and Trump term 1. This has been on, it's not a secret. This is not a secret that they've wanted this done for a while. And finally, Trump gave it to them. They've been requesting it for a while. Now, you could say it's a good policy, but this has been one of their great asks of America longer than the situation that just emerged this year. They've asked every president has refused until now. So, but the way Ben tells it is, this is a crazy lunatic conspiracy theory. It's not even disputed. It's not even debated. I can't do much more of this, man. This guy sucks. This guy deserves everything in terms of this war, in terms of what he just produced, because he just created a bunch of leopards, and now the leopards are loose. He fucked over you, your brethren, your countrymen, by installing a deluded fascist, helping install. I'm not going to say that he deserves ultimate responsibility, but by doing that and being one of the major thought leaders in support and rallying behind Trump. And all he has now, where he's losing influence, where the zeitgeist is moving away from him, where not as many people are listening to him, where many people are ridiculing him, all he has left are bullshit lies, the most apparent appeals to Trump's ego, to his, wounded pride, and deflection on points that are not even contended seriously, that are matters of public record. You should have exactly zero sympathy for Ben Shapiro or anyone else in this MAGA coalition. And the reason you should have zero sympathy for them, because guess who's going to have to clean up this mess of the Groypers when they, if and when they get more power. Us, the loyalists who are actually committed to the Constitution and rule of law and to equality before the law and fighting anti-Semitism and bigotry. That's who's going to have to fucking clean up this mess, is the loyalists. Not loyal to Trump, not loyal to political power, but loyal to the country, rule of law, equality. They made a mess. They're going to do nothing effective to stop it. We're going to have to pick up the tab. Collectively. And every motherfucker who jumped on that MAGA bandwagon and was these, big ideological thought leaders and who helped usher Trump, they deserve your contempt because they made this deal as much as anyone else. Shapiro, fuck you. Guys, see you tomorrow.